Honorable members, Madam Speaker.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in the prudential goodness have appointed also leaders and parliaments for this start a just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon the abundant favor this year of servants whom have been pleased to call the performance of such important in this land. Let your blessings set upon the assembled and granted the mayor as your presence. Treat and consider all matter that should come with the deliberation is so just and friendly manner promote your honor and glory and to advance the good of those who interests you have committed your church.
Item 2 on the order paper, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I want to welcome you to this afternoon sitting. You recall on 12th March 2025, we adjourned the House and dine. However, due to urgency of some governance matters that require legislative action, we had to convene the House today. And after that, I will ask you to go back to your committees. I want to commend you for your responsiveness and this kind of flexibility among you for taking a decision to come and have the sitting. I want to thank you so much. Thank you. I've finished the communication. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. We are used to a much more lengthy communication from you, especially when we've been away for some time. So we're surprised you finished quickly. We're hoping for more. But I do join you in welcoming colleagues for us to take care of critical matters that we ought to be able to. In 3 quick minutes, Right Honorable Speaker, the last times we were sitting, Right Honorable Speaker, we kept bringing critical matters to this House. And you did give us audience. We kept raising the matter of the brutality that was occasioned in the Kawempe North by-election. Government kept giving us commitments. I remember the Honorable David Mohozi was here. He gave a response expressing dismay about some of the happenings, beating up of people, journalists, and he promised to investigate and get back to the House. Honorable David Bahati, in the same vein, rose up and said this is wrong. And on behalf of government, he said he's going to follow up. He even said he will visit one journalist who had been brutalized, the one Miracle Ibra. He said government will even take care of the medical bill. And he said he would get back to us. And you, Right Honorable Speaker, tasked government to follow up and get back to the House. Honorable Speaker, the situation only got worse. It's as if the matters that we raised here and the task you gave them was taken for granted. The situation got a lot more precarious. Honorable Speaker, after our candidate in that race, one Luimbazi Nalukola, was assaulted, our supporters were brutalized, several leaders were brutalized, including on election day. In fact, Honorable Speaker, some of your members here were badly brutalized, still nursing injuries. Journalists were not spared either. They were badly beaten. Others were abducted and taken in drones. only to be dumped later with injuries. Honorable Speaker, can government provide an explanation to this House? Who was responsible for this brutality? We want to know. Because we raised these matters here, the government officials who spoke, they expressed concern and dismay over these particular matters. Can we know who commandeered this? Who commandeered the brutalizing of leaders, citizens, a candidate in a race, journalists, who are simply doing their job? Who is responsible for this? I saw, Right Honorable Speaker, the Prime Minister, Honorable Robin Anabanja, Honorable Minsa Kabanda, Honorable Balam, make some remarks out there and say, we as the opposition were responsible. They even made remarks to the effect that we did these things to ourselves, we hurt ourselves, we hurt the journalists and beat them up and so on and so forth. Some ridiculous statements. But it would be important that government, I don't know if that's the position of government, maybe they need to tell us that the statements we had made by the Prime Minister, made by Honorable Mr. Kabanda and Honorable Balam, is that the position of government? That we are the ones who did these things?
Thank you.
Can we know, Right Honorable Speaker? And finally, Right Honorable Speaker, even though those were abducted and later returned, beaten up, the abductions are still on. I'd like to report that one of our coordinators, as a political party, one Bright Muhumuza from Western Uganda, was also abducted last night. We don't know why government continues to do these things. And for me, what hurts me, Right Honorable Speaker, is, and I want to call it pretense, honestly. When some ministers here do rise up and they say, this is bad, this is terrible, it's pretense because nobody is held responsible. It appears that's the position of government. Because if it were not, government should be holding accountable all those who are doing these things. Somebody did say that those who are doing these things are doing them in favor of the opposition, so that we get sympathy. Why do you not take action? How many people have been held responsible for beating leaders, beating supporters in an election, beating up journalists, many of whom are still nursing injuries? Honorable Speaker, we want to know. It's not enough that you keep condemning the few of you who probably want to look good, or in my view, pretend and say that this is bad, we are going to take action. Where is the action? We saw demand, Right Honorable Speaker.
We've had government.
Madam very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the issue is related. First, the leader of opposition has addressed the issue of brutality. After a by-election, the Honorable Mike Mawanda was declared a winner like today. The following day he was sworn in. Madam Speaker, as the head of this institution, can you get us to know when the Honorable Narukola will be sworn in? The Honorable Mawanda was sworn in 24 hours he was here.
Honorable members.
Then second, if you allow, Madam Speaker, and you answer.
Let me answer that one first. When a member wins, I wait for a gazette. When I get a gazette, that's when I swear in the member. So I'm waiting for a gazette. I need to hear from Electoral Commission before I do a gazette. And
Honorable Speaker, we are actually dismayed that up to now the Electoral Commission has not gazetted the person that won the Kawempe North by-election. We did follow up with the Electoral Commission, and they told us that they're still sorting out internal issues. We don't know what that means, because in the past, as we are saying, it's been done in record time, because the Electoral Commission is now funked as official. After they declare a candidate, legally they are funked as official. They no longer have any responsibility. They can't say they're still sorting this out, they're still investigating this, or whatever the case might be. Maybe government, because government supervises the Electoral Commission,
we'll follow up with
can they tell us what has caused the delay? In the past, it would be done very quickly.
Thank you very much, Leader of Opposition. But be patient. You see, the reason I am raising this, Madam, is because the Honorable Mawanda was sworn in 24 hours on record time. And then the issues that Madam Speaker, the Leader of Opposition has raised.
Can we have some order?
Madam Speaker, I am a journalist. Before I became a politician, I was even covering Parliament here. I don't know, and I intend to bring a motion, Madam Speaker, inviting this Parliament to condemn first the brutality against the media, but also I don't know what we will do to make this government understand that the media goes to cover and give coverage to everybody, including NRM. But I saw ministers walking in 2 polling stations, armored vehicles. I last saw them when the government was battling Konyi. I don't know what was in Kawempe that made the government, including equipment for which they were arresting civilian. They said Dr. Besigye had 1 pistol and he got arrested. Now they got members to go, because the Parliamentary Elections Act doesn't allow even to carry a gun, a simple gun at a polling station, even a simple gun. These vehicles I see with the president, I saw them in Kawem at polling stations.
Honorable Government.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, colleagues. On the issues raised by the Leader of Opposition, you were not here last time, but we did report that the journalist was visited, and actually government, according to the CEO of Zambia, has picked up the bill. That is particularly what I committed in the House. Yeah, the first person. Regarding the situation in Kawempe, I'm a bit slightly, I was expecting a slightly different statement from the Leader of Opposition, but now that he has not said it, on the issues that he has raised, His Excellency the President issued a statement regarding the situation in Kawempe, and I'm not adding a word to that.
Honorable members, in the public gallery this afternoon, we have teachers and students from Lukaya Seed Secondary School, from Kalungu East County. Can I have order? Please stand up and we see you. They are represented by Honorable Katavasi Francis Katongole, Honorable Francis, and Honorable Sekindi Aisha. They are your members of Parliament. Thank you for coming. You're very smart. Thank you for coming to your Parliament. They are here to join the proceedings on this. Honorable members. Yes, Sechi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I heard the Leader of Government Business telling the House that the President's statement cannot be added or subtracted. But Right Honorable Speaker, the Constitution is very clear. The mandate of the Electoral Commission is very clear: to organize free and fair elections, to declare the winning candidate, and all the processes. Now, it's not fair to hide behind the President's statement as if the President has taken over the Constitution. It shouldn't have stopped the Electoral Commission from exercising its constitutional mandate by declaring and indeed gazetting a successful candidate. I would therefore wish that this House, Right Honorable Speaker, puts it on record that we are increasingly getting dismayed by the conduct of the Electoral Commission in the affairs of Kawempe North by-elections. And we are disturbed that up to now, the results were declared. What is stopping the Electoral Commission from succeeding and doing its job? Then whoever is aggrieved, there is the legal redress in this country. Madam Speaker, you've been vetting justices of this country. They know very well what course they have to take if they are so aggrieved, if anybody is aggrieved, but not hide behind the President's statement and deny the people of Kawempe North a right for representation. Madam Speaker, as long as I'm here, I feel Parliament should take a note and look with dismay the very bad conduct exhibited by the Electoral Commission. I think.
Honourable members, we will wait for a gazette. It is to my best interest that I have my member in the House. It is to my best interest. Because I want my member in the House, I want the constituents to be represented. So we'll wait for the gazette, and when we receive the gazette, we'll swear in the member. So, Attorney General, you'll need to make a follow-up on that, on what is being raised. I've seen David updating you. Next item.
Honourable Speaker, I think it would be a good thing that Honourable David Bahati clarifies something to this House. He said that the head of state released a statement, he will not add to it. This House does not operate based on rumors. What did the head of state say? Could maybe a statement be laid? Because he is represented here by the lead of government business. So if, because otherwise, as I think now, Honourable David Bahati might be a self-styled lead of government business. But if he was appointed to sit in for the lead of government business, can he then, on behalf of the lead of government business, lay that statement here, so that as Parliament we know, we were raising these issues here in Parliament. It's important that the country gets to know what was said, what action is being taken. Please don't refer us to social media, to I don't know where. We are here as colleagues. Please lay on table.
Well, it was a public statement, and Madam Speaker, I can in a few minutes print it out and lay. Yes.
I will give you time and you bring it. Next item.
Item 3 on the order paper, laying of papers. 3.1, the Local Government Finance Commission Annual Report for the financial year 2023-2024.
Honourable members, Ibrahim, I will give you. Let's first have this one. Honourable members, Section 24.1 of the Local Government Finance Commission Act 2003 requires the Commission to submit to Parliament at least once every year a report of its performance and the functions, making such recommendations as it considers it necessary and containing such information as Parliament may require. The report was brought over to Parliament by the chairperson. I now invite the commissioner, parliamentary commissioner, to lay it on table.
All right, Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the Local Government Finance Commission Annual Report for financial year 2023-2024. I beg to lay.
Thank you. Pursuant to Rule 189A of the Rules of Procedure, the Annual Report of Local Government Finance Commission stands referred to the Sectoral Committee of Public Service and Local Government. Honourable members, when the Local Government Finance Committee came to lay when they came to bring the report, they had an issue on one, their salary payment, their budget, which we really need to look at. And the law is very clear. Who determines the salaries for that commission? It is Parliament that determines. So we may need to look at that. Local government, Ethel, you may need to look at that. And you, local government.
Thank you, Right Honourable. We are going to fully consider it in the Committee of Public Service and Local Government. Right Honourable, when we bring our report, we pray that Parliament considers our recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Let me first get this report. I will give you.
Item 3.2.
I'm going to give you. Let me finish this item. Even doctor is seated next to you. Yes?
Item 3.2. alternative policy statements for the financial year 2025-2026.
Honourable members, Rule 147 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament requires the shadow cabinet, led by the Leader of Opposition, to submit the policy statements by 27th day of March. However, 27th would fall on a weekend. 29th would fall on a weekend, so we will now lay on 27th. However, the Leader of Opposition informed us that he is ready, meaning that he's very punctual. He has his very hard-working boy. Now, young man, no, he's my son. Lob, thank you for being hardworking. Now I invite you to ask your shadows to lay.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, as you have clearly stated, Rule 147 requires us, as the opposition, by 29th of every March, to lay alternative ministerial policy statements. You had set a deadline for us as 27th, but we said we are young, we are vibrant, we have got what it takes. We shall hit even that deadline. And we are here today ready, Right Honourable Speaker.
So I'm not wrong to say my young man.
And Right Honourable Speaker, Rule 146 requires that government ministers should lay ministerial policy statements by the 15th day of March of every year. As I speak, Right Honourable Speaker, up to now, there are some ministries that have not provided their ministerial policy statements. I don't know why. Committees are stuck. When some people go to the library, because they laid some things here, I don't know whether they were dummies. They laid here and referred to the library. When people go to the library, they can't access because it is not there. Honourable Speaker, I would like to use this opportunity to call on government, please be active. Take your job seriously and take Parliament seriously. When you come and lay here, and yet you do not, there's nothing available for the committee, that means you, number one, lied to us, but number two, you have not followed the law. The law says by 15th of every March. Can we take our job seriously? The Prime Minister is not here, but now that she delegated the Honourable David Bahati, please, can you whip your members the same way we are doing this side? Let's be serious about our work. Thank you.
Honourable members, I don't know which committees are those that did not get ministerial statements. There are committees that I asked them to bring, the ones who came late. I referred the reports administratively to the committees, unless there is a committee that has not got a report. Which committee? I see the chairman here. Who has not got the report? Finance late.
Right Honourable Speaker, there are about 2 or 3 that I've just shared with, and they are within the Ministry of Finance. I've just discussed with the Minister, and they are going to be brought this evening.
Thank you. That does not mean that you don't meet the deadline. My deadline still stands of when you should report. Yes, Honourable Shadows.
Now that I'm glad they have conceded, because I saw some people looking at me as if I was making this up. So some are coming this evening. Let me reiterate, let's take our work seriously as Parliament. Honourable Speaker, now that you have called on us based on Rule 147, I would like to request colleagues, the different shadow ministers, to come and lay our alternative ministerial policy statements. We have put in a lot of work in these alternative ministerial policy statements, done good research. There is exquisite proposals that we have therein. I'd like to call on colleagues on the other side. Let's not look at these alternatives as just policies that have been brought by the opposition. See the good therein and be able to adopt it, even though it is coming from the opposition. Let me now invite my colleagues, Right Honourable.
Thank you. Can I guide this way. Can you lay all the statements? Then I will put a question. I will refer them at once. Please, Honorable Peter, you have something?
There's a statement which I think with the leader of opposition needs to, maybe you expand it, because I'm ready to prove him wrong. If you permit, I'm ready to lay the second Minister of Policy statement on the floor. I have asked them again to bring. Because he's saying that we laid dummies. How do you say government lays dummies?
Honourable Speaker, allow me to call my honourable colleague to order. I actually thought he would lie low like an envelope. A committee chairperson who belongs...
He had Honourable Lob.
Right, Honourable, please do allow me, so that he does not mislead the House.
He had left the
floor. A colleague from the NRM has told that he's waiting for ministerial policy statements this evening. The deadline was 15th. You should actually have come to apologize, not to complain that I'm saying you people didn't do your job. Because your colleague has conceded. What is the matter?
Honourable members, one thing I'm sure of, the policy statements were laid on table. The ministerial policy statements were laid on table. Those that were missing, like Ubura and which other? NPA. One of Ubos are going to be laid today. Let's have the statements. Honorable Guang, Namuga is not around. Yes, environment.
Yes, Right Honourable Speaker. I beg to lay the alternative policy statement for water and environment subsector for financial year 2025-2026. I beg to lay.
Please lay. Thank you.
Yes.
Goretti, you're welcome.
Yes, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues. I beg to lay the alternative ministerial statement for Defence and Veteran Affairs for the financial year 2025-2026.
Thank you, Derek. Please lay.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay the alternative policy statement for the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development.
Please lay. Thank you, Ibra.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the alternative policy statement for lands, housing and urban development for the financial year 2025-2026.
Thank you. Please lay.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the alternative statement for the policy of the Ministry of Education and Sports.
Thank you.
I beg to lay.
Solo, thank you. Please lay.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the alternative policy statement for works and transport sector. I beg to lay.
Thank you. Francis, please lay.
Right Honourable Speaker, in accordance with the rules of this House, I beg to lay the alternative policy statement for the health sector for the financial year 2025-2026.
Thank you, Doctor. Please lay.
I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the alternative policy statement for the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, year 2025-2026. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Evans. Thank you. Ethel.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the alternative policy statement for the Ministry of Local Government for the financial year 2025-2026. I beg to
Thank
lay.
you, please lay. Energy?
Agriculture.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. As the Shadow Minister for Agriculture, I beg to lay the alternative policy statement for financial year 2025-2026 for the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Asinansi. Thank you. Maybe Asinansi should lay all the rest. You continue, Helen. Continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Pursuant to Rule 147 of our Rules of Procedure, I beg to lay the alternative policy statement on information, communications, technology, and anti-corruption. I beg to lay.
Thank you. Thank you, Helen. Please lay.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the alternative ministerial policy statement for trade, industry, cooperatives, and microfinance affairs sector for financial year 25-2026.
Thank you. Please lay. Please lay.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members. Okay, go ahead.
Right Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Shadow Ministers, I beg to lay the alternative statement on the gender, labor, and social development sector.
Thank you. Please lay.
On behalf of the Shadow Minister for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Honorable Karim Masaba, I beg to lay the policy statement for tourism, wildlife, antiquities sector. I beg to lay.
Thank you.
On behalf of the Shadow Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation, Office of the President, I beg to lay. That's the ministry. I beg to lay.
Please lay. Thank you.
On behalf of the Shadow Minister for Kampala Capital City Authority and the Ministry of Kampala Capital City Authority and Metropolitan Affairs, I beg to lay the policy statement.
Thank you.
This is an alternative but a big one, and it will be the main one. Right Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Ministry, on behalf of the Shadow Minister for the Ministry of Presidential Affairs, Honorable Francis Zake, I beg to lay the policy statement of the above sector.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable members, in furtherance to
Honorable
Derek
Speaker.
has.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Foreign Affairs Minister, Shadow Minister, Honorable Mwada Nkonyeji, I beg to lay the policy alternative statement for Foreign Affairs 2025-2026.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you so much. Right Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Shadow Minister for Public Service, Honorable Anna Adeke, I beg to lay the alternative policy statement for the Ministry of Public Service for the financial year 2025-2026. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Ethel.
Thank you once again, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the Honorable Lucy Akelo, I beg to lay the alternative policy statement for the East African community. Allow
Thank
me
you.
lay.
Thank you. Please lay.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay an alternative ministerial policy statement for internal affairs sector, financial year 2025-2026. I beg to lay.
Thank you. Please lay. Are they finished? Lob, you're done. Honorable members, in furtherance to Rule 149(1) of the Rules of Procedure, the alternative ministerial statements are accordingly referred to respective sectoral committees. Thank you. Honorable members, in the VIP gallery this afternoon, we have Ms. Ahera Trisha Brenda, the Miss Environment International representing Uganda 2025. She's right there. You're welcome. You're most welcome. She has come to observe our proceedings. Thank you.
Item 3.3, the fourth National Development Plan.
Yes, yes, Ibrahim.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this parliament is a house of record. I don't know whether acting, but the Honorable Bahati, who was speaking as Prime Minister, he said he cannot add a word to an unknown letter written by the President. If we take this to be the standards, Madam Speaker, we have a very active President. Today is in Bunyoro, the other day was somewhere, and he keeps making statements. The Honorable Bahati now needs to tell Parliament that they will no longer answer any matter on which the President has spoken either at a rally or in a letter or in social media. Because my understanding, Madam Speaker, is that once government has a position, it can only bring it to Parliament through those who sit here. But if they begin making reference to those who don't sit here, it means they will never answer any question. The President has spoken about everything. So the procedural issue I'm raising is whether now this is the new standard that you, Madam Speaker, has accepted.
What did I accept?
I said I am asking you a procedure. I am now waiting for your ruling.
Accepting what? Don't drag me into do things. Next item. Cow.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. There was an omission of one policy statement, and it is on behalf of our Shadow Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, the Honorable Johnson Odur. The alternative policy statement for the Justice, Constitutional Affairs, and the Judiciary sector for the financial year 2025-2026. I beg to lay.
Thank you. The report stands referred to Committee of Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. Next item.
Item 3.3, the fourth National Development Plan NDP4 2025-2026 to 2029-2030, together with the Manpower Plan and the Program Implementation Action Plan.
Honourable members, you recall that in the last sitting of the House, I guided the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to table an approved copy of the National Development Plan 4 to inform the various decisions, including the ongoing budget process. And remember, the NDP 4 was laid on table here. We made adjustments. We adopted the report subject to addition of what was raised on the floor, and that has been done. I have had to look at the plan myself, and I think what was discussed here was captured. Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. In accordance with what you have just said, we incorporated the issues as were discussed here, and what I'm laying today is the final document incorporating the responses to all those issues. I therefore beg to lay the final fourth National Development Plan, NDP4, financial year 2025/26, financial year 2029/30. I beg to lay.
Please,
Now,
thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker, the implementation of the plan is facilitated by the implementation plan, which we call here the Program Implementation Action Plan, and the results and reporting framework for the plan. And this will be very useful in assessing the consistency of the plan with the budget, because it contains all the actions. So I beg to lay on table the PIAP, the Program Implementation Action Plan for the NDP4.
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker, allow me also to lay on table the NDP4 Human Resource Development Plan for the same period. I beg to lay.
Thank you. Honorable members, the NDP4 will be deposited in the Parliamentary Library. I will instruct the clerk to cause its circulation to all members for its reference. In addition, I want to urge all the committees to ensure that the ministerial policy statements currently under consideration inform to the NDP4 that has just been laid. So there shouldn't be an excuse that we cannot start working because we don't have NDP4. Next.
Item 4 on the order paper.
I'm going to give you after this one.
Item 4 on the order paper.
Yeah.
Motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to United States dollars 100 million from the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, BADEA, private window. United States dollars 50 million from the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, BADEA, public window. And United States dollars 25 million from the OPEC Fund for International Development, OFID, to capitalize Uganda Development Bank, UDB.
Honorable members, as you may recall, on Wednesday, 5th February 2025, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development tabled a proposal to authorize government to borrow USD 100 million from the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, that is BADEA, private window, USD 50 million from the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, BADEA, public window, USD 25 million from OPEC Fund for International Development to capitalize UDB. On 25th February, the House stood over the consideration of the motion pending further harmonization between the committee and other relevant stakeholders. I guided since then. The initial motion had to be separated, the two motions. One was for borrowing and the other was for guaranteeing. The two items will be distinguished from each other and we will consider them separately. Pursuant to Article 159(2) of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda and Rule 155 of the Rules of Procedure, I will now invite the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to move a motion to that effect on the borrowing. And the money that we are talking about is for capitalization of UDB. And in the capitalization of UDB, this is where our people are going to get to borrow money from at a better interest rate. Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, the Minister of Finance has read documents and taken them away. He read National Development Plan 4. He has just taken it away. Now, before we allow him to...
Can I have my documents back?
He has just taken them away.
Honorable, please. Can we have our documents back? Can we have our documents back? If you want, can we have the documents? Bring them here. Francis, thank you.
Madam Speaker and colleagues, I beg to move a motion.
Where are the shadow reports? Look. Okay. Yes.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move a motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to $100 million from the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, Badea, private window, $50 million from the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, Badea, public window, and $25 million from the OPEC Fund for International Development to capitalize Uganda Development Bank Limited. I beg to move.
Seconded. Seconded by Honorable Bahati, Mamawi James, Faith, Honorable Gwang, Honorable Lokeris, Honorable Uda, Honorable Solomon, Foyo Chan, Ibanda, Alanyo, Okumu, Aru, Susan Amero, by elders, by Angura, Okot, David, Abudu, Finance, Mbarara, Margaret, by the majority on this side. Can you speak to tell us if you made harmonization and why you're borrowing?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker,
Honorable members, remember these reports were already presented. It was only for harmonization. Minister, go ahead.
Madam Speaker, as you have just stated, this motion is not being moved for the first time. I moved a consolidated motion which included a request to authorize the government to borrow up to the figures I have just stated, and also a motion. In the same motion, I requested the government to guarantee UDB an amount of $100 million. In the debate, two issues arose. Why do we put together a guarantee and a borrowing at the same time? And in the wisdom of the House, they asked us to go back and separate the two motions. Point two is that the lender, which is Badea, had not approved the 150 million borrowing. Now I wish to inform the House that the board of Badea sat on March 6th and approved the borrowing of 150 million, which evidence I have presented to the committee, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think among some of the issues which were raised, where the minister was supposed to report back with to give answer to this House was
equity.
Equity, the list of people who benefit from this, who have benefited. I think that is one of the issues you raised. But also, Madam Speaker, when we went into privatization, we privatized all government banks. And we have been talking about UDB and trying to capitalize it. But this seems to be only one central bank centralized in Kampala, which is where the money is accessed by very few people. I wanted to know from government when they will at least maybe decentralize it at the regional levels. Because now we are talking about UDB, it does not portray any national characteristics. And even if one goes to there to access money, the hurdles you jump until you give up. You cannot know who are the people who are accessing money from this UDB bank. It seems to be a bank for some specific people whom we are alienated. So, I think I want to appeal to government.
Thank you.
If you want to put bank in place, which
Chair,
must be helpful.
First listen, leave the minister to listen.
If we want to put a bank which should be helpful to all Ugandans, and then we should at least put it at a regional level. We have sub-regions or maybe regional levels, but to have one bank centered in Kampala, and we think it is helpful to all Ugandans, I think this must be changed. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Minister, does this bank give people in the villages also some money outside the Kampala city?
Madam Speaker, first, all the information the honorable colleague wants us to provide is available in our records. However, this is the bank that deals with the private sector, and there is a client relationship which the bank has with its borrowers. And one of the conditions is that the bank shall keep the bank shall confidentially keep the information of its clients. Madam Speaker, this debate, this question is not new. It has arisen before, and what we did when it arose, we preferred to share information with you, Right Honorable Speaker, but not the public.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Minister. Colleagues, what the Minister needs to do for us, all countries worldwide, they have a UDP. But the resource that government is allocating in UDP is limited and small, cannot serve this country. What we need to do is to ensure that you capitalize UDP with adequate funding so that it can serve the people of Tororo, Arua, and so forth. But as of now, the resource in UDP is so limited that the investment that we need, that it cannot address.
Honorable member, you don't
so, Madam
have...
Speaker.
My ears are getting...
Sorry, Madam Speaker.
You don't have to shout for anybody to hear you.
Yes, Madam Speaker, my request is that 100, the resource that...
Honorable members, what we need is equity in giving out this money. That is number one. And that will not stop us from first capitalizing the institution. We need to capitalize the institution, and then after that we now make sure the sectoral committee should make sure that there is equity in disbursement of these loans. It does not mean that other people do not qualify for this money. Yes. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, the equity that honorable members are asking about, we have investors across the country. UDB is serving our interests, whereas the funding is not enough, but it is only visible within the people in the center.
But also the other thing is,
if it was,
have you applied and you have been rejected? Maybe you don't qualify. Now let me speak from the banking perspective. for you, you must be credible enough. You must be credible for you to be able to qualify for a loan. Yes.
Madam Speaker, investment has been spreading across the country. We have potential investors, myself in Tororo and Honorable Kanya, we have people who want to access this funding. But because it is not well saturated in terms of information and otherwise, our people remain hanging around microfinance, Mioga, and those. Let's request this bank to open forth in the regional headquarters or create branches, spread them, and our people will go there. I want to assure you, they will be eligible and they will benefit from these resources. I thank you very much.
Honourable members, when you talk about that, increase the money so that the money is distributed, so that we have a better outreach.
Madam Speaker, first of all, I entirely want to concur with you, and I want to request honourable colleagues here that we need to increase the money for UDB. Why do I say this? As of yesterday, I was in Hoima City checking on the progress of our stadium, and one of the requests from the business community, from the Hoima City in terms of hotels, they asked us government to help them get the cheap loans from UDB. So friends, I entirely want to ask us that, can we support this loan for purpose of helping our people benefit from financing their bankable projects for purpose of supporting the economy? I thank you so much.
Esther, you mean you want to debate on what is obvious?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to stand here and confirm to you that in one of our oversight visits as members of Parliament, I happened to attend one of the functions that UDB was undertaking after giving money to a company, a seed company called Totco in Lira, that is Lango sub-region. This company had been in operation for a long time, but needed a major funding source to uplift their services because they're a very big grain company. It is at that point that I realized that UDB is actually doing a great job for those who are playing at the levels that they are supporting. I also know that not all areas may have benefited from UDB because of the qualifications that are required. But I want to support UDB because I know that this time round when they get this money, they will make the Totcos of this country more financially stable and empower most of other seed companies in northern Uganda.
Thank you.
Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable members, in the public gallery this afternoon, we have teachers and students of Trust High School. That is from Chadondo, County East, Wakiso. They are represented by Honourable Muwada Nkuninji and Honourable Ethel. Ethel,
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Allow me, on behalf of the people of Chadondo East and Wakiso, and also on behalf of parliamentarians, to welcome our students, our teachers. You are most welcome to Parliament. This is where we are really deliberating for you, and we are making sure that children of Uganda are in good state. Continue praying for us.
Thank you. Honourable members, join me in welcoming those students. And honourable members, this issue was deliberated upon the other time, and we only left with that clarification. And because we only left with that clarification, we are going for the guarantee. The next one is the guarantee. Okay? Haj. I'm going to put a question on this and then we go for the guarantee.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Specifically, from a technical point of view, I was wondering if there's a borrowing from Badea as a point. It presupposes that we are not doing well. We need to recapitalize the bank. The borrowing presupposes that the country is not doing well and we have to recapitalize the bank. At the same time, we are considering a guarantee. A guarantee presupposes that the guarantor is a surety who is doing well. Which is which? Because you cannot have borrowing at the same time you also a guarantor. Guarantor presupposes you are doing well. So there is a conflict. You just have to really harmonize that. If you are coming here as borrowers,
thank you.
The assumption is that we are badly off somehow. At the same time,
not really badly, they are short.
Yes, but now
they have more customers than what they have as a disposable.
Yes, but right now, you turn out also to
money
be
to be given out.
A guarantor. So harmonize that, please.
Thank you. Honorable member. No, the report was read here.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, the Minister has said the documents and information that Parliament asked for which we laid this loan, that he has supplied it to the committee. I thought, Madam, you allow the committee, even if they just confirm that they received the information.
Chair, have you got the report? Chair, can you confirm if you got it?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, with me here is a loan agreement from Badea for $100 million. I beg to lay.
Thank you. Honorable members, I put a question that the motion for resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to USD 100 million from the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, Badea. Private window, USD 50 million from Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, Badea. Public window, USD 25 from OPEC Fund for International Development to capitalize Uganda Development Bank, UDB, be approved by this House. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Item 5 on the order paper. Motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to guarantee Uganda Development Bank Limited to directly borrow up to United States dollars 40 million from the Islamic Development Bank IDB, United States dollars 30 million from the Islamic Corporation for Development of the Private Sector ICD, and United States dollars 30 million from the International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation ITFC.
Honorable members, as I guided earlier on, this motion was initially part of the previous one, but we had to distinguish them between the borrowing and then the guarantee. And that's where they have inherent uniqueness. And pursuant to Article 159(2) of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda and Rule 155 of Rules of Procedure, I will invite the Minister of Finance to move a motion, after which we will receive a report from the committee for the proposal.
Madam Speaker, in line with Article 159 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda and Section 34 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and Rule 56 and 155 of Parliamentary Rules of Procedure, I beg to move a motion for a resolution of Parliament to approve the proposal for government to guarantee Uganda Development Bank Limited to borrow up to US dollars 40 million from the Islamic Development Bank, US dollars 30 million from the Islamic Cooperation for Development of the Private Sector and US dollars 30 million from the International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation. I beg to move, Right Honorable
Seconded.
Speaker.
Seconded by Honorable Gwang, Honorable Lokeris, Uda, Gabriel Okwalinga, Alayo, Esther, Ibanda, Nekesa, Mutembule, Aru, Emmanuel, Songa, Lilian, Gogonyo, Palisa, Max, Noah, Annette, Margaret, Faith, John Faith, Mamawi James, Faith again, Wilson, Ibanda, Kabong, David, Goli. Yes, speak to it. Abim, would you speak to your motion? Honourable members, they guarantee that they did not have any problem. We are guaranteeing the UDB to have that money, and they will be paying the money themselves. Yes.
Madam Speaker, I moved this motion some time back and it had no problem. Only to confirm that these loans guaranteed by government will not directly impact on the government debt. They will only do so if UDB fails to repay the loans. And the amount that UDB will not have paid is what will become a liability to government. Madam Speaker, since there is nothing I'm changing, I want to beg that the House considers this motion.
Thank you. Chair. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it's true this is a guarantee. This is a report of the Committee on National Economy to guarantee Uganda Development Bank, UDB Limited, to directly borrow up to USD 40 million from the Islamic Development Bank, $30 million from the Islamic Corporation for Development of the Private Sector, and USD 30 million from the International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation. That's a total of $100 million. Honorable Speaker, we interacted with the Minister of Finance, UDB, and a number of other beneficiaries. Let me take you to Honorable Speaker, by the end of November 2024, UDB capitalization stood at 1.5 trillion, composed of 1.2 trillion as government contribution and retained earnings of 211 billion. However, this remains undercapitalized, thus limiting the bank's ability to carry out its core business and mandate. Uganda Development Bank Limited funding needs have grown over the last 2 years, and the bank needs to disburse an average of Uganda shillings 1 trillion per year in new disbursements. The exponential growth in funding needs is due to the growth of the economy, which is attributable to business expansion coupled with UDB's favorable terms and value proposition. UDBL lends at not more than 12% per annum for up to 15 years, which makes it the only bank that can offer favorable and long-term tenure capital in the economy. Honorable Speaker, according to UDB annual report, 2023, as of December 2023, its total assets stood at 1.67 trillion, with a gross loan portfolio of 1.58 trillion. The cumulative loan portfolio of the bank is 2.5 trillion. Over a period of 7 years, from 2017 to 2023, 70% of the bank's financing is directed towards agriculture and industry, leading to creation of 51,841 jobs maintained in 2023. Right Honorable Speaker, as per performance of previous lines of credit, to date, UDBL has secured 15 lines of credit with a value of $158.5 million from 8 multilateral development partners. 92% of the lines of credit have been disbursed to various projects. Out of the $158 million extended to UDB, UDB is servicing the interest payment on 10 credit lines worth $117 million. And the table is attached therein. Right Honorable Speaker, on page 8, we have the terms for the first batch, which is $40 million from Islamic Development Bank, with the gestation period of 4 years, maturity period of 10 years, and repayment period of 6 years, and a margin of 2.8%. That is to be paid by UDB. In the same vein, Right Honorable Speaker, we also looked at the constitutionality of the loan and
Solomon.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Where are you going?
Allow me proceed, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the committee, having considered that and aware that UDB needs funding and aware that this is a guarantee, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the committee therefore recommends that this House approves a proposal by government to guarantee $40 million from the Islamic Development Bank, $30 million from the Islamic Corporation for Development of the Private Sector, and $30 million from the International Islamic Trade Finance. Right Honorable Speaker, for a record, let me repeat this. The committee recommends guaranteeing for Uganda Development Bank Limited to directly borrow up to $40 million from the Islamic Development Bank, $30 million from the Islamic Corporation for Development of the Private Sector, and $30 million from the National Development Bank. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you. You're done? Chair, you're finished?
Madam Speaker, the chair is done.
Thank you. Honourable members, you've heard the submission of the chair, and the chair's issue is basically on guaranteeing the loan. Yes, Dr. Pear.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I do support the idea of government guaranteeing loans because there is a logic behind it that it's going to work as a business model and UDB is expected to pay back that money. However, I reiterate the point that was earlier brought forward by colleagues, that it looks as though we are recapitalizing UDB for the benefit of one person or a handful of people. I've been in this house. I've seen companies that should have gotten money from UDB, like Rocco. I've seen Atiak. I've seen another one coming for money from our budget. So I do not know who exactly is getting money from UDB, and I do not know whether the extent to which we've recapitalized it this time will enable the minister to not contaminate the budget, the upcoming budget, with requests of individual companies that should actually access money through UDB but prefer coming and getting it directly from the budget.
Let's not smuggle in other issues. We are seeking for authorization to borrow. We are not discussing issues of Rocco, of Atiak, of who. It is authorization to guarantee money for a financial institution. Yes, Dr. Pear. Dr. Pear, not
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, and I would like to thank the Chair and the Minister for this submission. I support the guaranteeing and capitalizing UDB as one of those banks that should be positioned to help us in the socio-economic transformation of the country. However, as a guarantor and a taxpayer, I did not hear the report coming out very clearly on what interests are these loans and how does that then translate into the cost of borrowing in this country. Because as we go and borrow as much as we can, it's a good thing to borrow to capitalize. But at what cost, and what would be the cost of that loan to the final person? I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Right Honorable Speaker, I did highlight the interest rate, and also for purposes of record, we indicated that in the earlier report this doesn't have an effect on our debt because it is a guarantee which has to be paid by UDB. I also highlighted the different lines of credit. For example, Islamic Development Bank, the margin is 2.8% per annum, and the repayment period is 6 years, with a gestation period of 4 years. Maturity period is 10 years. So that is the interest rate, 2.8% per annum.
Thank you. Jessica, Christine, then you.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I support the request for government to stand in as a grantor and to capitalize UDB. But Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the concern of the country is how can our people benefit? Therefore, we need a commitment. First of all, to make sure that the country gets to know that there's this cheap loan. This is going to help our people even to provide a recovery mechanism as a result of COVID. Two, we have experiences that the procedure is so tedious. Can government look at the procedure on how best people can access this money? Many people have lost their businesses because we don't have a cheaper loan. Can we talk about the effect of the capitalization in relation to a cheaper loan to a local business person? Because this is our hope, this is our savior, but so long as it is limited to a few people, this is going to disadvantage us. Thank you so much. I support the request.
Thank you. As I already said, that should be followed up by the sectoral committee. Yes,
thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Right Honorable, I support the motion that UDB needs to be supported and guaranteed by government and capitalized. But Right Honorable Speaker, there was a statement that was made by the Minister about the loan, where he made a statement that the loan doesn't have any impact on the economy of Uganda, especially in relation to the debt burden. The question I have for the Minister and the Chairperson, because the Chairperson also made a statement related to that, assuming that the UDB fails to pay back the loan, don't you think that government will take the responsibility? Don't you think it is still a liability to government? For purposes of the Hansard, that statement needs to be put right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker, the honorable colleague is just emphasizing what I said. I said that initially the guarantee will not impact on the government of Uganda debt. But should the bank fail to pay the guarantee, then the government will take the responsibility for the debt. This is what I said.
Naomi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May I find out from the Honorable Minister?
Are you Naomi?
May I find out from the Honorable Minister as to how risky is the possible default is on a scale of low to high? Is it low, moderate, or high? The risk of default.
Is it the MD of UDB?
No, I thought.
No. Okotogong.
Madam Speaker, I want to support this motion, the request of government to guarantee UDB resources to finance many projects in this country. Madam Speaker, I'm supporting this because of 3 reasons. One, the management of UDB is working very well. They're performing. When you read their reports, the rate of default is less than 5%. And any bank that works within that rate, it means it is performing very well. And we need to applaud UDB for what they're doing. Secondly, I'm supporting it because we have generated a number of jobs through UDB. Right now, they are financing over 500 projects. And these projects are generating jobs. I'm very sure about this. Over 50,000 job opportunities have already been created. And I want to appeal to government because now they had promised through our manifesto, NRM manifesto, that we shall be financing UDB 500 million every year. I want to know from the minister whether after giving this, they are not honoring their promise. I'm saying you promised 500 billion to UDB every financial year.
Thank you.
Are you still going to do it? Madam Speaker, I want to appeal to government that instead of coming here in piecemeal, because when you look at the loan requests from UDB is like coming to 4 trillion, that the support that they should be giving to the private sector, coming to 4 trillion. So why are you coming in piecemeal? Why don't you come here at once? Now you're only borrowing $40 million, 100 million. When you translate it, it's only about 400 billion. What is required is beyond 400 billion. Why don't you come at once? That you borrow $500 million
Okay, for now, this is what has been asked. This is what they are borrowing. This is their need. Abim, Honorable Chero.
Madam Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I've risen up, Madam Speaker, to support the motion that UDB be guaranteed to acquire this loan for only two major reasons. The first one is that whether we guarantee this loan and they get or not, Ugandans are borrowing money. And money in the market there is very expensive. With my little work as a lawyer in the courts, people are losing property day in, day out. As we sit here every minute, a Ugandan is losing property, including villagers who borrow from VSLA. They are committing suicide. People are dying because of interest rate. Comrade, I want to beg this country, ladies and gentlemen, that in fact would have even guaranteed this money yesterday, would be in a hurry to guarantee this money, let UDB get the money. Then we follow the money there. What we must now do, let's mobilize our people to say, comrade, there's cheap money available in Kampala. For me, after this, I'm guaranteeing the money. Madam Speaker and members, I kindly request all of us, let's guarantee this money, let them get the money. From now on, I'm going to mobilize my people. That money is in Kampala, and UDB will receive money. I want to thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Honorable members, I put a question that a motion for resolution of Parliament to authorize government to guarantee Uganda Development Bank Limited to directly borrow up to USD 40 million from the Islamic Development Bank IDB, USD 30 million from Islamic Cooperation for the Development of the Private Sector ICD, and USD 30 million from the International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation be approved by this House. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. Let's have it.
Item 6 on the order paper.
Yes, Honorable Atkins.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. On our back, Madam Speaker, I asked to raise this procedural issue. Madam Speaker, when you came into office, constitutionally, all of us as a membership are obligated to support you. And I will support you, Madam Speaker. And I will continue to support you. Madam Speaker, my procedural issue is the multiple directives that you've given to the ministers. And I want to bring to the attention of this House, and by extension the executive, three fundamental ones. Number one, the state of our road network. Madam Speaker, it's appalling, extremely appalling. When you want to go to Kasese, taking the Mubende Road, Madam Speaker, it is impassable. You may try to use the Mbarere Road, it is impassable. I don't know, Madam Speaker, whether we're waiting for a situation where your members will come here and ask for helicopters to fly them to their communities. Is that what we're waiting for? I don't want to believe that, because we are here as people's representatives. If you give me a helicopter...
Honorable Atkins, that's a very pertinent issue, but I want to request you that you bring it at the time when the Prime Minister is handling those issues. Because I know some of these ministers, like Minister of Works and the rest, will also be here at that time. So kindly hold it on and we bring it at that time of Prime Minister.
Much appreciated, Madam Speaker. The reason why I was bringing that up is I've seen the Minister for Finance. Madam Speaker, you're familiar that December 7, the President of this nation was in Kasese commissioning the Kikorongo.
No, let's bring it at that time. Let's bring. I'll give you space. And as you give
as much appreciated, I want to appreciate the Speaker for that opportunity. I'll also be putting on the floor, I've seen my honorable sister, Minister for Energy. This country needs power, and also the Minister for Water. And the fact that the Minister for Water is not yet in the House, Madam Speaker, we can use this time and then to bring in the Minister for Water.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Atkins. Next item.
Item 6 on the order paper. Motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to the euro equivalent of United States dollars 190,988,556 from Stanbic Bank for the Umi Limited buyout.
Honorable members, you recall that on 18th February 2025, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development tabled a proposal to borrow up to euros equivalent to US 190,988,556 from Stanbic Bank for the Umi Limited buyout. The proposal was referred to the Standing Committee on National Economy and the committee. Committee, are you ready to report?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, we have developed a report that is being signed by the members. So I believe in the next few minutes we shall be in position to present the report.
Honourable members, I am in receipt of a letter from the Minister of Finance, which I will ask the Minister to read at an ample time. But let me first hear from the AG.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, as the Speaker has stated, this matter came to the House on 18th February 2025, and the Minister of Finance and Government appeared before the committee on 25th February 2025. Colleagues, this matter of the Umi buyout has been with us for a long time. It's a very urgent matter, and the deadline on which we are supposed to present this, to make this payment, ends on 31st. If we don't, there will be penalties and costs. Right Honourable Speaker and members, I request that we suspend the operation of Rule 155.3 in accordance with Rule 16 of the Rules of Procedure, so the Committee of the Whole House considers this request. I beg to...
Thank you.
Right Honourable Speaker, I wanted to report to you that the report of the Committee on National Economy is now ready.
Now, now that the committee is ready, can the Minister move a motion? But before the Minister moves a motion, we have in the public gallery this afternoon, we have Mr. Lubega Nsamba Vincent, the Guild President of Makerere University. Where are you? You're most welcome. He's accompanied by Mr. Kakolwa Joel Ezekiel, Guild member on the Committee of ICT. They are represented by Honorable Nsereko, Honorable Nsereko Mohammed, and Honorable Shamim. You're most welcome. Those are your... In the public gallery this afternoon, we also have students and teachers of Kawempe Secondary School from Nansana Municipality. They are represented by Honorable Wakaima Musoke and Honorable Malende and the MP to come. and incoming MP. You're most welcome. Honorable Minister. Yes, Honorable Oguzli.
Madam Speaker, a while ago, we were given the next item on the order paper, and it related to a motion to borrow an equivalent of $225 million from...
Is that what was read?
Yeah, that's what the
No,
clerk
no,
read.
no. Okema. Okema read 190, 998, 556. Let's not misguide this country. Okema, what did you read?
Right Honorable Speaker, I'll reread the item for the benefit of the member. Motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to the euro equivalent of United States dollars 190,988,556 from Stanbic Bank for the Umi Limited buyout.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Article 159
Madam
of the
Speaker,
Constitution...
you gave me opportunity to raise a
No, but you are raising wrong issues.
No, you just called, Mr. Okema to
Okay,
clarify.
okay, what is your issue?
The other procedural issue is, under our rules, as a member, I'm entitled to support of the technical people. And it has just occurred that the report of the majority on this matter, which is being presented, is available. And my minority report, which the clerk's office was processing, is not available to me. So can I invite you to direct the office of the clerk to ensure whatever they have printed is supplied, so that the countries are aware of what is taking place. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Minister, move a motion. You finished?
Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Nguzuli is a member of my committee, and as a chairperson of the committee, I'm aware that there is a minority report that is written by Honorable Tebandeke. I don't know how many minority reports we're supposed to receive as a committee, but I thought the minority would sign one report. They would.
No, we can have more than one. We can have more than one. Let's move on as we wait for the report of Honorable Gozule. Yes.
Madam.
Bugabula, you sit. Why are you seated there?
Madam Speaker, pursuant to Article 159 of the Constitution and Section 34 of the Public Finance Management Act and Rule 155 of our Rules of Procedure, I beg to move a motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to euros equivalent of US dollars 190,988,556 from Stanbic Bank for the Umi Limited buyout. I beg to move.
Seconded by Uda, Okumu, Alanyo, Nekesa, Ricky, Mtembule, Aru, Joan, Isaac, Basil, Peter, Mitoma, Ogwang, Annette, Noah, Maureen, Max, Palisa, Gogonyo, Kumi, John, Chankwanzi, Achan, Ibanda, Dokolo, Shema, Honorable Feta, Jessica, Mitiwa, Ibanda, Dr. Mushemesa, Kiza, Acrobat, and Omoding, and Abim. Yes, would you speak to your motion?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, the justification for this motion is as follows. The electricity distribution network, currently managed by Umi Limited and other small distribution operators, has faced a significant challenge, including the need for continued investment to upgrade, refurbish, and improve system performance. Despite considerable private sector investment over the past 20 years, issues of access, affordability, reliability, quality of supply, and quality of service persists, necessitating a more sustainable, timely, and a competitive funding mechanism to support the distribution network's long-term availability. This is critical to address the high cost of private capital and its impact on electricity affordability. Government's decision not to renew the concession for Umi Limited is therefore driven by the need to eliminate expensive private capital and optimize low-cost concessional or public financing in the distribution network, while maintaining prudent utility best practices and efficiency of service delivery in alignment with the national vision and the goals enshrined in the energy policy of 2023. As the concession for Umi Limited comes to an end, government is obligated to compensate Umi Limited for the unrecoverable capital investments following the Auditor General's valuation and confirmation of the buyout amount claimed by Umi Limited in accordance with the lease and assignment agreement. Securing the buyout amount and capital investment to UEDCL by government is expected to further enhance the electricity tariff affordability and therefore support the national industrialization aspirations. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the proposal by Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development is that government should immediately secure the funding required for the buyout amount due to the Umi Limited and UEDCL's capital investment requirements in the distribution network after takeover to ensure a smooth transition in the management of electricity distribution sector after expiry of the Umi Concession Limited. What are the terms, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, the terms and conditions of this loan are the following. The loan amount is $190,988,556 US. The tenure is 5 years with a grace period of 6 months. The interest rate is 6 months Euribor plus margin, and the interest period is semi-annually. Commitment fees is nil for an availability period of 30 days, and the margin is 4.7% per annum, and this includes insurance by ATD. Arrangement fees is 1.2% of the total facility amount paid upfront, and the default interest is 2%. Madam Speaker, I presented the detailed justification and the background and all the necessary information to the committee, and I want to believe that this has formed part of the committee report. In the interest of time, Madam Speaker, I beg to submit and pray that the House considers and approves this borrowing. I submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. You've also written a letter to me on the proposal to borrow. Could you read that letter? I've given you permission to read the letter you have written to me.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The letter is dated 20th March 2025, addressed to Right Honorable Speaker, Parliament of Uganda, Kampala. Subject: the proposal for government to borrow up to euro equivalent to US dollars 190,988,556 from Stanbic Bank for the Umeme buyout. Right Honorable Speaker, I refer to the above mentioned loan, which I laid on the floor of Parliament on 18th February 2025 and presented to the Committee on National Economy on 25th February 2025. The government requests to borrow the amount of euro equivalent to US dollars 190,988,556 was based on the guidance of the Auditor General's draft special audit report for the end of the lease and assignment agreement between Umi Limited and Uganda Electricity Distribution Company of January 2025. Once the loan is approved by Parliament, government will only pay out to Umi the amount verified and approved or recommended by the Auditor General as the payment due to Umi before the end of 31st March 2025. If the required payment is lower than the eventual amount verified and or recommended by the Auditor General, then the balance of the loan will be cancelled and the cancelled portion will not form part of the government debt. After the Umi buyout has been concluded, a report on the actual payment made will be provided to this House. The financing terms of the Umi buyout remain as I presented, Right Honorable Speaker. Given the urgency of this matter, I seek your support to have the loan approved by Parliament to enable us obtain the funds to pay Umi before their concession expires on 31st of March 2025. Signed by myself.
Can you lay this on table so that it forms part of the record of this House?
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a letter which attests to our commitment to pay the amount due to Umi as certified and approved by the Auditor General. I beg to lay.
Please lay. Thank you. That forms part of the recommendations that will be acted upon on Umi. And it is not that whatever the 190 is going to be the payout. It is what will be audited and what will be presented by the Auditor General. Yes, Chair?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I also want to thank the Minister for moving the motion and giving a justification. Right Honorable Speaker, before I read the report of the committee, allow me lay the report of the committee, including the minority report of one of the members of the committee and the minutes of the committee. May I lay this on table?
Please lay.
Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister has already given the House the title of the report. Allow me re-echo that. Right Honorable Speaker, you referred this loan to the Committee of National Economy on the 18th of February, and the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development officially presented it to the committee on the 25th of February, and the committee therefore started scrutinizing the loan. Right Honorable Speaker, while scrutinizing the loan, the Committee on National Economy held a meeting with various entities. We had a meeting with the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, Uganda Electricity Distribution Company, UEDCL, Uganda Electricity Regulatory Authority, Office of the Auditor General, and we also interfaced, as leadership, we interfaced with the committee, the leadership of the Committee on Natural Resources. While reviewing the report, while working on the report, the Committee on National Economy also reviewed the following documents. We had a brief on the proposal to borrow, the term facility agreement between Government of Uganda, presented by Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development as a borrower, and Stanbic Bank, Standard Bank of South Africa, and Stanbic Bank Uganda Limited as mandated as a lead arranger and a book runner. Standard Bank of South Africa Limited as a facility agent, and a financial institution as the original lender. The committee also reviewed the LA, that is the lease and assignment agreement 2024 relating to the distribution and supply of electricity in Uganda. The committee also looked at the lease and assignment agreement as amended in 2005, and then the Umeme buyout draft mandate letter. Allow me, Right Honorable, I'm going to give the House a narrative on the buyout. Right Honorable Speaker, in line with the lease and assignment agreement, Umeme submitted a claim of Uganda US dollars $235,978,667 US dollars, which is above the 225.75 million US dollars earlier estimated by Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. The draft special audit report for the end of the lease and assignment agreement between Umeme and UEDCL has estimated the buyout amount as US dollars 190,988,566. The information from the regulator, that is Electricity Regulatory Authority, indicated that in the initial estimate of Umeme buyout amount as in September 2023, communicated to the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, was US dollars 225.75 million, and it has since reduced to 127 million, 127.66 million US dollars in March 2025. The amount keeps changing based on the additional investments made by Umeme and recoveries from the end user tariffs. The total estimated investment by Umeme, as approved and verified by ERA, amounted cumulatively to 746.798 million US dollars, inclusive of the 10.84 million US dollars to be invested by end of March 2025. The total amount recovered cumulatively by Umeme, according to ERA records, is US dollars 625.22 million US dollars, leaving a balance of 127.66 million US dollars unrecovered as presented in the table above. Right Honorable Speaker, if this is uploaded, members would see cumulatively how UMEME has been investing, how UMEME has been recovering over the last 20 years of the concession, leaving unrecovered amount of about 121.576 million US dollars unrecovered, plus a markup of 5% that pushes it to 127.655 million US dollars. Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister has already given the terms of the loan. May you allow me go through the conditions of the loan. Right Honorable Speaker, this loan is accompanied with conditions that this Parliament is supposed to approve. The conditions precedent to the first drawdown of the loan are: A, execution of the facilities document by the borrower in form and substance mutually accepted to all parties. B, a statement confirming no event of default or potential event of default is continuing or would result from the drawdown, and that all representations and warranties are true on the date of the drawdown request. The copies of the relevant parliamentary approvals and all other evidence of authority are devised by government counsel to the lender, including authorizing legislation of the borrower or the ministerial decision as appropriate. Specimen signatures of authorized signatories who can commit the borrower in respect of the facility. E, the evidence of the appointment of the process agent, being the High Commissioner or any officer of the Republic's High Commission in the United Kingdoms. F, a satisfactory legal opinion from English and Ugandan legal counsel to the MLS, the facility agent, and the lenders. G, the legal and capacity opinion from the Attorney General, solely as the matter of Uganda law. H, the evidence of payment of all fees, costs, and expenses then due and payable by the borrower under the facility document. I, a statement signed by the Minister of Finance confirming that after drawdown of the full facility amount, the borrower is still within the cap still set by Parliament pursuant to the Public Finance Management Act and all the relevant borrowing legislation and regulation, together with the certificate from the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, or the Minister of Finance as the borrowing cap. J, a certification copy documents. K, affirmation from the Attorney General that all relevant governmental or regulatory approval have been duly obtained. H, a satisfactory know your customer documentation being completed for the borrower by the MLS and the lenders. And M, a copy of any other document, authorization, opinion, or assurance specified by the facility agent under the advice of the Lenders Council. Right Honorable Speaker, the concessionality of this loan. Right Honorable Speaker, the nominal value of the loan is 988,566 dollars. The present value of the loan is US dollars 213.37 million, equivalent to 810.8 billion Uganda shillings. The total debt service of the loan is 235.5 $1.41 million US dollars, equivalent to 894.6 billion Uganda shillings. The grant element is negative 11.7% and the discount rate at a discount rate of 5%. The present value of the loan, Right Honorable Speaker, the total future payment value of the loan is 235.4 after the loan period of five years. This loan is a commercial since its grant element is negative 11.7%, which is significantly lower than the concessional value of limit of 35%. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to go to the committee recommendations. Observations and recommendations. Observation number 1, end of natural term of Umeme. The lease assignment agreement between Umi Limited and the government of Uganda provided that at the end of 28th February 2025, the agreement comes to a natural expiry. Section 3.13 of the Umeme Lease and Assignment Agreement stipulates that from the end of the natural term until termination of this agreement, the company's obligation in respect of the operation and maintenance of the distribution system under privatization agreement shall be limited to using commercially responsible efforts to operate and distribute and distribution systems in accordance with a prudent utility practice, and to maintain the distribution system in its condition as of the end of the natural term. Notwithstanding anything to the contrary in this agreement, the company will have the right to stop performing all its obligations 30 days after the end of the natural term, except for those obligations that expressly survive termination, provided, however, that as of the date the company ceases performance of its obligation to operate and maintain the distribution system. As such obligations may be modified in accordance with Section 3.1, subsection D, UEDCL or its assignee will then have the immediate right to step in and take possession of the lease agreement, operate and maintain the leased assets, including collecting payments for electricity from retail consumers, and use the assigned interests and other rights, assets or other rights provided further, notwithstanding UEDCL's possession of the leased assets, operations and maintenance of the leased assets, and the use of the assigned interests and other rights. UEDCL shall not transfer any means, let or assign the leased assets, assigned interests and other rights to any third party until the buyout amount is paid in full by government of Uganda. The committee observed as follows. Government is required to carry out the audit of the performance of the lease and assignment agreement. The lease and assignment agreement provides steps of the audit process included the dates of submission of the estimated buyout amount by Umi Limited. Accordingly, the Minister of Finance wrote to the Auditor General requesting him or her to undertake that audit process. The Auditor General appointed a consultant, that is MS Grant Sampson, CPA,
in April 2024 to undertake a special audit on her behalf based on specific terms and references. The office has since provided 2 draft reports from the consultant and subsequently held a meeting with the stakeholders. The authority to approve and verify investigations on an annual basis is vested in the sector regulator, that is ERA. Cumulative investments and returns on investments and all other related costs are recovered through the tariff. ERA derives this authority in Section 15 and 16 of the Electricity Act 1999, Cap 145. The Board of ERA enjoys the exclusive statutory authority to determine all matters that have effect of increasing or decreasing the end user tariff. Whereas government is requesting for authorization of Parliament to borrow up to $988,556 million to buy out Umeme, the regulator ERA estimated the resultant buyout at the end of the concession as at 31st March 2023, plus the uncovered investment adjusted by 5% as provided for the support. The support agreement is $27.655 million US, while the Auditor General is supposed to give the final figure, has not concluded its audit. The Auditor General informed the committee that he needs time to finalize the audit process and come up with a final figure by 28th of March 2025, without which government can base on to buy out Umeme. There are timelines required for the buyout and the conditions for the loan effectiveness. Even after parliamentary approval, any delays in paying the buyout in paying the buyout amount attracts penalties, costs pursuant to Section 12 of the support agreement, which among others provides that in the case of the expiry of the natural term, unless the transfer of the lease asset and payment of the buyout amount is delayed by the company from and after the date, that is 30 days following the end of the natural term, Government of Uganda shall pay the company interest on any outstanding portion of the buyout amount at a rate per annum equal to 10% for the period from 30 days until 45 days. After the end of the natural term, 15% for the period 46 days until 90 days. And after the end of the natural term, 20% for the period from and after 91 days after the end of the natural term until Government of Uganda pays the buyout amount in full. Following the end of concession agreement, Umeme has to exit and UEDCL has to take over immediately and start providing all the necessary services which were formerly under the provisions and supervision of Umeme, including taking over all the capital investments. In order for UEDCL to maintain efficient continuity of what Umeme has been doing, there is need to avail UEDCL with adequate financing so that it is able to recruit and train human resource, maintain the already existing infrastructure, and clear all the outstanding liabilities that could have been inherited from Umeme. UEDCL informed the committee that UEDCL informs the committee that UEDCL requires capitalization worth $50 million US for initial investment after
Umeme has left since the tariff approval by ERA should only enable them to fund operations and maintenance of inherited assets from Umeme. However, this amount is not yet secured. Therefore, failure to allocate this money implies that UEDCL will not be able to carry out any additional investments in the distribution of electricity in this country. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee therefore recommends that, given that the Auditor General has not determined the final buyout amount, and considering the period remaining to come to the end of the lease and assignment agreement, the Auditor General expeditiously reconciles with ERA, UEDCL, and the Auditor General to determine the Umeme payout cost and submit it to Parliament to guide the approval of the loan request. Right Honorable Speaker, the constraint that the committee had is on the cost of the buyout. And this tore us into two. Some members, actually majority of the members, were saying we could wait for the report of the Auditor General, that the auditor had promised that by 28th of February, they should be in position, by 28th of March, they should be in position to give this. When we had an interface with the Office of the Auditor General, a few days ago, they requested that they could be given 1 week up to Tuesday next week for them to be able to come up with a buyout figure. This constrained the committee members, and it constrained me personally as a chairperson. I tried to convince the members, and the members gave their position that given their observations and recommendations, the committee recommends that government approval to borrow up to euros of US dollars equivalent to $190,988,556 from Stanbic Bank for Umeme buyout be halted until the report of the Auditor General is presented to Parliament. I beg to move.
Honorable Chair, when is the deadline for Umeme to be here?
Right Honorable Speaker, after the natural expiry of the concession agreement, 30 days are given, and for which we are within the 30 days, which ends on the 31st of March 2025, which is ideally about 9 days
from now.
Right.
So you want us to wait and approve it on 28th? How long does it take for you for finance to process a loan? Honorable members, let's put all this into consideration. One, are we ready to buy Umeme from? Then the other issue is the time aspect. We should be able to look at all that, those other issues. Yes, Richard?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The chairperson of the committee informed us that there is a minority report.
No, we just wanted a clarification before we got the minority report.
And that's why I'm seeking your
Yes.
guidance.
No, I just wanted a clarification. Yes.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to oppose the recommendation by committee.
No, we have not started a debate.
Then let me clarify
Yes.
as follows.
He's going to do.
Madam
Eki,
Speaker,
do you want to come and chair this house?
Madam Speaker, we need to.
I am the one who has asked for a clarification. Yes.
Madam Speaker, why we want this process to continue. There is a timing, there are timelines. If we are to pass this resolution today, we need not less than a week to manage the next steps. By the fact that Parliament, if Parliament decides that we go up to next week, there is a high risk that we shall not conclude this process by end of March. And this will take us outside our commitments.
Thank you.
Remember.
Honorable Tebandeke, thank you. Honorable Tebandeke.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Tebandeke, let's get the minority report. Let's get a minority report.
Minority report on the Committee of National Economy for a proposal to borrow up to $190 millions 988,556 from Stanbic Bank for Umi Limited buyout under Rule 200 of our Rules of Procedure. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm aware that any delay of the buyout of this loan costs the taxpayers' money interest to Umi on an outstanding rate of 10% per annum for the period of 30 to 40 days after natural term, a 15% for 46 to 90 days, and a 20% for a period after 91 days, till government buys out the amount in full. However, Right Honorable Speaker, my areas of dissent are two. One is non-compliance with the constitutional provision, and the two is non-compliance with the rules of procedure of Parliament. My point of dissent, number one, non-compliance to the constitutional provision. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, Article 119, Clause 3 and 4 of our Constitution explains the establishment and the roles of the Office of the Attorney General. In this article, it is very clear that the Attorney General shall be the government's principal legal advisor, draw and peruse agreements, contracts, treaties, conventions, and the documents, whatever have been called to the government. Right Honorable Speaker, in this very provision, the work of the Attorney General has been not defined. Additionally, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, Article 163, Clause 3 and B explains the establishment of the Office of the Auditor General. In the article, the Auditor General is mandated. I think the Attorney General is here, where the law uses the terminology shall. It is non-debatable. The Attorney General shall conduct financial, Auditor General shall conduct financial and value for money audits in respect for any project involving public fund. Right Honorable Speaker and members, the money we are approving as a loan is not mine, neither is it yours, but for Ugandans as a public, where the Auditor General, as a custodian, mandated to give us authenticity value for us to approve the loan, has not acquainted us with the report. I'm wondering, where are we getting the mandate to approve this loan? Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, this is, for this special request, the Auditor General's office requested the committee, when appeared, to be given a week to have a report ready, establishing clear amount that Umi buyout is amounting to. Right Honorable Speaker, a week from now may not even take the whole time for the Auditor General to come up with a report. and where delays have been accrued by his own making, why should this House carry on the cross at the expense of the reasons that are not so clear and known? Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, approving this loan request without the Auditor General's office clearance makes us proceed arguably, whereas the request of the $190 million in the recent supplementary request, Parliament approved the same. The CEO of ERA reports the CEO of ERA, the report of the CEO of ERA quoted $127 million for recoveries. I feel there is any coordination between UMEME and the Auditor General and the Minister of Finance that expect the contrasting amount for the buyout. Right Honorable Speaker, there are two contrasting figures that are required for the buyout. There is $190 million and the $127 million. The two figures are contrasting, much as the committee agreed that should only approve in exclusion, where $127 million can be given authority to be borrowed, pending the $190 million. A question of contrast is one. What if the Auditor General's report comes out tomorrow and the figure is below the 127? Or when the figure is above the $190 million?
Honorable members, I don't know whether we speak the same English in this house. Because there was a letter which was written, and the letter is here. It was laid. It is part of the documents of this house that in the circumstance that the buyout is less than the 190, what is only going to be disbursed will only be the amount that has been approved by the Auditor General. Yes.
Right Honorable, thank you. Right Honorable, I'm at pain as a committee member when the colleague who is presenting the minority report spent the whole time like us in the committee meeting, and we decided to stop everything until we get the report, the Auditor General's report. Is here saying that the committee accepted to pass the 127 contrary to the 190, yet the committee didn't pass any figure. Because any other information, the committee was not privy to any other information, including Right Honorable now that you have given us that letter, which is saying that if the Auditor General comes up with a report saying the figure is 150, they will only disburse 150. Right Honorable, the committee was not privy to that letter. So I'm wondering whether
that's why I asked them to lay it on table. It's okay, let the member finish his report.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, procedure matter.
Right Honorable Speaker, this House would benefit from the member who is submitting on minority report if there was critical points of dissent. This is the first time that we are getting one report submitted twice. One is just either for emphasis. He could have told us that this is for emphasis. So far, whatever the honorable member has said can only help in emphasizing the committee main report. Can the honorable member from Bali be clear to this House? Is it proceeding which from Bali
Right Honorable Speaker, are we proceeding well when the same report is split into two?
Honorable Tebandeke, are you just making emphasis of what was in the other report or what?
Right Honorable Speaker, in the report of the majority report of the committee, there is nothing like a matter of constitutionalism, and the law has not been quoted. Right Honorable Speaker,
Honorable,
I have a point of dissent.
You can't say there is no matter of constitutionalism. Eh? You're just a law student who was... No. No, I don't want you to learn on very critical issues. Eh? On constitutional issues, you don't bring learning in the house. Let's learn from out there. Anyway, Honorable Member, you're raising matters that have been raised on the major report. So can you conclude with your emphasis?
Right Honorable Speaker, I have a point on non-compliance with the rules of procedure of this parliament. Right Honorable Speaker.
Which rule?
Right Honorable Speaker, allow me go through since I'm presenting. Then I'm going to quote the rule. But for your point of consumption, Rule 155, you can keep on going through as I present.
Hey.
Right Honorable Speaker, this house is...
There is an order.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Right Honorable, a few days ago when the chairman of Rules Committee was here, there is a language he was telling us to always use which should be parliamentary. And when you are addressing the speaker, you should be civil. Honorable Tebandeke, when you asked him about the rule, he was saying you allow him to read, but for your consumption, he gave the rule. I'm wondering whether Honorable Tebandeke is in order to respond to the chair in that mode, and is telling the custodian of the law for consumption to read as is presenting.
You see, I've always said, not all of us are brought up. Some of us grow up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for your guidance. There is a member who promised to box someone, but I'm not of such a caliber. Right Honorable Speaker, in approving this loan, other subsequent requests by the ministry responsible for finance, our hands as Parliament remained tied in reference to Rule 155, Part 5, and Rule 155, Part 5B of the Rules of Procedure, and also Rule 155, 5K of the Rules of Procedure, which mandates this House, before approving any loan, must have a thorough assessment for the loan performance.
Let's move slowly. Rule 155.5. Honorable Katuntu. Rule 155.5. Please. I want you to guide the member. 155.5. So that we quote the right rules.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I wish we can benefit from Honorable Tebandeke on how Rule 55 is being breached. Then I can be of assistance.
You know, what we are doing now here is lowering. We are learning law on the floor. You get it, eh? Maybe I can understand you, Honorable Tebandeke. He's in his second year doing law. Please, go ahead, finish. You finish.
Right Honorable Speaker.
You go to the report.
I wanted to stand a correction on what I've quoted. However, by your guidance, Right Honorable Speaker, the committee has not carried out any oversight to establish whether the performance of Umeme is fit in the previous loans that have always been approved by this House. And there is no clear clarity whether the status quo of Umeme that ECDL wants to take over, the assets which have been mentioned are not known and clear to this House and the committee in processing the report. Therefore, I recommend as follows, Right Honorable Speaker. I do recommend that the House gives the committee ample time to scrutinize this loan request in its totality. In reference to government through the Office of the Attorney General reviews and wipes off the interest accrued to Umeme in case the buyout has delayed.
Thank you.
I request more that the Office of the Auditor General, in compliance with the report to the majority, is given enough time per his request so that it can give us authenticity on the actual figure that is required to buy out this loan. Right Honorable Speaker, the Committee on National Economy is required to visit all the projects under Umeme before passing out this loan, buyout loan, to establish whether those projects do exist. Right Honorable Speaker, there are also other agencies that were contracted privately to work under Umeme, and those agencies have not been brought on board. The layout table from the main the report of the majority committee has not listed all the agencies that were contracted under Umeme. For instance, IMAT Technical Service, where I got even a petition, they wanted to access your office, but they have not yet. So all those dilemmas need to be harmonized and get to know exactly what are we passing and which buyout are we going to buy. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, Umeme is listed as a company where Ugandans who own share in Umeme should also be briefed on the status of their shares. How are they going to access their shares? Are they considered by this loan, or we shall get some other time and pass another loan in this guise of the same?
Thank you.
I beg to submit.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable members, in the public gallery this afternoon we have Mr. Ogwal Pascal and Otim Ambrose, constituents from Atikibere Sako. Welcome. They are represented, they are from Kwania district. They are represented by Honorable Ayot Tony and Honorable Auma Kelly. Tony, you first greet my people. Where is Kelly? She's coming, eh? Okay.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members. I welcome the team from Kwania to Parliament. They are circle leaders, and as you are aware, our plan is to mobilize majority of Uganda under SACCO, and they would come to register their cooperative. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming to your Parliament. Honorable members, in the VIP gallery this afternoon, we have a delegation from the Kingdom of Eswatini. You're most welcome. We have the Right Honorable Madala, who is the Deputy Speaker of Parliament of Eswatini. You're most welcome, Right Honorable. Welcome. We have Honorable Mamba, a Member of Parliament of Eswatini. You're most welcome. We have Mr. Timothy Sipo, who is an Auditor General of Eswatini. Thank you, welcome. And they are accompanied by Mr. Quinino Bamwine, the Honorary Council. You're most welcome. You're welcome to Parliament of Uganda. Then we have Honorable Warren Wambabazi, Member of Parliament and Chairperson of Public Accounts Committee. Honorable Warren is there. You're most welcome. And then we have Honorable Likando Mufalali, the Deputy Government Chief Whip. You're most welcome. These honorable members had come to Uganda to attend the just concluded AfroPac conference, which was hosted by Parliament of Uganda. I'll introduce the remaining ones. They have been here to attend the AfroPac conference, which was hosted by Parliament of Uganda, and Honorable Segona Medad is the chair of AfroPac. And is a chairperson of COSASE PAC in Uganda. You're almost welcome. Thank you so much for coming to our parliament and to Uganda. The team from Eswatini, you're very smart. These members want to see you again. Right, Honorable? Right, Honorable, don't get tired of, because we are preserving our tradition and the cultures. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Honorable Oguzli, point of departure.
Madam Speaker, I thank you for recognizing that traditions and customs are things Africans cannot trade for anything. So people who bring proposals that undermine these values must reflect on them. I'm here as a member of the National Committee to highlight some key issues I've departed on. Madam Speaker, you will agree with me. I just got this document here. It may not have reflected my true intention, but I want to say the majority committee has made a summary recommendation on why this loan should be given a little bit of time so that the underlying issues can be reflected. For example, in the leasing and the assignment agreement, there's an account called the escrow account on which Omeme has been paying rent and other incomes and withdrawing. To date, nobody in this country knows what that account is holding. And yet this same agreement provides that if there are any obligations, they can be paid from that account. This is something the Auditor General is supposed to cater for. Two, Madam Speaker, there's what we call liquidity facility in the leasing and license agreement. What that facility does is, if government is not able to meet any obligations to any of her obligations to Umeme, the guarantee under that facility can actually be invoked. Up to now, we cannot understand why we have chosen to do borrowing when that option.
We're in which page?
On page 2, which talks about the compliance of this law with this borrowing with our laws and the agreements we have executed.
So?
And I did give a disclaimer that I may not go to the details, but I wanted to highlight things that the Attorney General could respond to. Because one of the opportunities we missed was to engage the Attorney General. You are aware, Article 119 mandates that the Attorney General must be part of every agreement government enters into. And before any loan is passed by this House,
we must have been, as a committee, satisfied that the Attorney General has reviewed those conditions and is in agreement.
Okay.
Honorable members, one of the conditions in this agreement is that we must waive our immunity. This agreement, the way I've read it, it erodes our sovereignty. Why? We are being subjected to the laws of English laws. Because I have the draft agreement here, I will lay them. That if we have disputes, we will resolve them in London. That undermines Article 129, which sets up our courts. That undermines the supremacy of our laws. Article 2.2 of our Constitution makes our laws very supreme. And if we waive these obligations, it means we have waived our sovereignty. Madam Speaker, one of the things I would expect the Minister of Energy to respond to, which we did not have the opportunity for, is UECDL's takeover readiness. Can I make my submission? Up to now, we are going to inherit.
Can you respect the member?
We are going to inherit assets from Umeme, but we have no asset register. We don't know what we are paying for. Who can answer that question affirmatively?
They will answer.
What is the government of Uganda paying for? And where are these assets? What are the liabilities of Umeme? Are there people they dealt with that we are supposed to pay? Do they have tax obligations? They are supposed to be environmental compliance issues that should be reported on. They are nowhere. So what if these liabilities come to government? Who shall we point to? Madam Speaker, I have a letter, I have a submission from the Ministry of Finance. One of it is what we call the mandate letter. This mandate letter shows what the lenders are willing to offer us. If you read the figures here, it's talking about 225. That is what they committed to give us. And yet Minister is bringing a proposal for 190. Whose figure is the truthful one? If we are borrowing 190, where is the offer letter for that borrowing from any bank? These are things we must be able to reconcile. Madam Speaker, if you could just allow me conclude. Our laws say anybody who makes tax, who earns income in this country must pay tax. The conditions in this agreement, which I would expect the Attorney General to respond to, they waive the tax obligations on the lenders. Why? And what is the procedure for waiving tax obligation? This is what I invite the House to pay attention to before you approve any law.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not only that, if I could... Madam Speaker, I want to lay on record these documents, but before I lay them, I have read the amended...
What are you laying?
The documents which I will read.
Which ones?
The documents that were submitted to the committee by the Ministry of Finance.
No, the documents have been laid by the chairperson.
They have not laid any document, and if I'm laying contrary one, the record must be able to capture. Madam Speaker, most importantly, I have an amendment of the leasing and assignment agreement. And on that agreement, there was an investment by government of Uganda using a loan from African Development Bank. And that investment is being claimed by Umeme as unrecovered. Why should we have been investing in substations through loans. We have been building lines. Why should someone come and claim this thing as the investment, and you want this process to be rubber stamped without Auditor General doing good work? So today, this country must watch whether they have elected MPs to come and represent their interests here, or they are working in somebody's interest.
Stop.
Madam
Speaker. Honorable members, let nobody intimidate you. Nobody should intimidate you. No. Yes, Honorable Kwang. Okiror.
Madam Speaker.
There is an
Right,
order.
Honourable Speaker, I'm rising up on a point of order. Honourable Oguzuli, I'm at pains to put you on a point of order. I have keenly listened to your presentation, and surely we are alive to our mandate as members of parliament, where we were elected. We took an oath. By us sitting here as MPs to listen to you, we are actually not abdicating our responsibility. And that's why when you mentioned the last point, most of the members were actually looking at you as having a point. So are you in order to insinuate that the members of parliament sitting here, Right Honourable Speaker, is a member in order to insinuate that members sitting here are members who do not understand their responsibilities? And we have the interest of the people.
Honorable Guzuli, the Constitution stipulates very clearly the roles of a member of parliament. And for one to be seated here, that means he knows what his role is. So you're not in order to start intimidating members that we shall, people know whether you have been elected. No, you are not. And everybody came here individually. And you're going to come back individually.
Madam Speaker, I take that guidance. In fact, when we were reviewing the leasing and assignment agreements, we were asking who were those people who signed that agreement. Because the commitments they put government in are the kind of things which we have been read here, the penalties. So all I'm trying to say is that we have an opportunity now to do things better. I don't have enough time. Let me finish.
Honorable, I've given it to him. I've given honorable both. Honorable both, yes.
But
the information is to me.
To accept.
The information is to me. Yes.
Thank you very much.
You are breaching the rule.
Yes.
Right Honourable Speaker, the honourable members asked in his submission that who are the people who signed the contract, the agreements. This same parliament
approved.
This same parliament in this parliament made investigation.
He's on procedure. No.
This parliament provided an investigation which took 2 years. And this parliament condemned those who signed that agreement. And this very buyout was a recommendation of parliament. And for the record, I was able to chair that committee. We had the Honorable Segona, we had the Honorable Beta Mongi, we had several people.
Mongi, not among.
Beta Mongi.
Yes.
Whatever it is,
can you conclude?
I have information that the president who chairs your cabinets actually directed people he has delegated to work on this thing some 3 years ago, since 2022. And many people slept on duty. That's why we are now in a situation of emergency, and everything is being done without, you can imagine all these documents, we received them yesterday. So how can a reasonable person be able to read? I read through these documents the whole night, and that's why I'm able to raise these issues.
Right Honourable Speaker, 2022,
I was a Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, and therefore I've been attending Cabinet. The directives that I know of from the President, at least to the Minister of Energy, is not to renew the concession of Umeme. That is the directive, not to renew. There was never a directive to review the concession, for which the member is proposing to amend at this tail end of the concession. Is the member of Parliament in order to allege without substantiating, without laying on table the directives from the President? Honorable, I am happy that some of you have been here longer than some of us. It was a resolution of this House that there should be a sale of Umeme, a buyout of Umeme. That is one. Two, what Honorable Oguzli is saying is correct. That we slept on the job. We should have handled this thing long time ago. No.
Yeah, I think I'm correct because I have those minute extras. Because there are people we charge with responsibility, they should have done that work for us incrementally until now we would have known these are the figures. Why that information is important is
and you'll find, Minister, it may not be only you, it can also be all of us, even in Parliament, Auditor General, everybody. It is not one single person sleeping on the job. But we knew very well that there was going to be a buyout of this institution. So why didn't we do it?
Information, Right Honorable Speaker. It was not possible to come to this House any earlier because the terms of the agreement, which Honorable Anguzuli says he read, told us exactly at what point Umeme was. There is a process to be followed in the buyout. So you couldn't come any earlier.
Look, honorable members, Augustly, have you finished? Let him finish.
I want to inform the Attorney General that by the grace of God I've been here a little longer, and I have information that in 2011 this House actually resolved that this Umeme deal must be terminated, and government said then it was very expensive. So when the President says this thing must not be renewed, common sense would tell you that that he doesn't want to go ahead with it, and it doesn't work for the
Honorable, you're not parliamentary.
Okay, I withdraw that statement. Let it be extracted on the record of Parliament. Okay, those who work for the people of Uganda would have sensed that if we are not moving ahead with this thing, it means it is going to end. How was it provided for? How was the ending provided for? They would have now done the right thing, which they delayed to do. So, Madam Speaker, I now want to lay the record of the letter of Auditor General on floor of this Parliament, and Auditor General has highlighted things he must do first before this approval is done. And here I lay the letter. Whoever disregards it will pay attention to it later. I have a letter here written by ERA. ERA said, ERA is the Electricity Regulatory Authority, the people who must approve of every investment first, not the minister, not the Attorney General, not anybody, not even the Minister of Defense. It has to be ERA, because they are the regular. They have said the only amount of money you can pay Umeme, and they have verified the assets for that. If you go to that place,
the asset will exist. That's why I was insisting the minister gives us asset register. They have said what we can pay Omeme can only be $127 million. And the letter is here.
Honorable Guzule,
Yeah.
I want you to distinguish between a payout plus a borrowing. And what you're raising on the amount is answered with a letter, a commitment which was given by Ministry of Finance. Yes, Tony?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members. Right Honorable Speaker, in 2011, I was in this parliament. And at that time, we really wanted government to terminate the contract of Omeme. But then government said it would be more expensive, like presented here. We needed to wait for about 7 years or so till their term comes to the end. Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Guzuli is presenting the position of error on the amount they believe $127 million to be paid to Omeme for us to get them off. And I think from that position, while the committee recommends, okay, the document you have is saying, let us pass this, then we wait for the position of Auditor General. That should not be beyond about 190 million and 190 something million. Then we proceed, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Because let's trust, and we believe your office will ensure that no money is paid beyond what the Auditor General is saying. Then we proceed, because we have issues of time, Right Honorable Speaker. So I want to ask Honorable Members that at that time, Right Honorable Speaker, we had wanted to terminate Omeme's contract at any cost. But then we had to listen to government. Now we have reached there. We are now having a problem over a difference of about $50–60 million. I think this what should not drag us for long, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, you're going to bring the procedure matter. Don't worry, Sech. We agreed that before payment of any money to Omeme, it will be subjected to an audit. The figures from error will be subjected to an audit, and it is only the amount that the Auditor General approves is what will be paid to Omeme. Yes, there's a procedure matter.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I've been listening in, and I find that we are aberrating from the well-laid down foundations of this House. When submission after submission is in breach of Rule 80, 1, 2, and 3 of our rules of procedure, we are proceeding in a manner that is so strange that I've never met and witnessed in this House. We are borrowing with open ends. We are legislating and determining in anticipation. Right Honorable Speaker, for this entire House to deliberate in anticipation of what will be and what will not be, and we are committing the millions of Ugandans who sent us here, Right Honorable Speaker. I had other issues to raise then, like particularly where the Attorney General waived the tax obligations out of this 190 when the taxpayers down there.
You will have to answer that.
But for this particular one, Right Honorable Speaker, to proceed by way of anticipation and to commit Ugandans and to say in future when this is realized then we shall pay this, I find it extremely frappe. I'll take it, Honorable Semju.
So the information I want to give you, Honorable Sechku, we are here
the same government convinced us, some of us refused, when they came here waiving the same deadlines for Magola's factory. We said, do not pay any money until you have acquired shares in that factory. And that was the condition that was given by this parliament. Immediately the parliament passed, they went ahead and paid. Let him bring here, he committed, let him bring here a share certificate from that factory.
Right Honorable Speaker, I commit to bring here the documents showing that government has an interest in that factory.
Thank you.
Yes, I commit to bring documents.
I am talking about the day you paid.
The matter has been raised to me, and I am here. And Right Honorable Speaker, I am committing to bring documents here that to prove that government has shares in that factory, in that company.
You start with the day of payment, that I paid this day and the certificate we acquired on this day. That is the contention. You first paid and then started negotiating because you did not even know the value of the company.
Honorable.
So which part should I answer, Right Honorable Speaker?
No, it's just quarreling there. Search.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Honourable members, can we have some order? Can we have some order?
Right Honorable Speaker. The discrepancy between 120 to 190 million US dollars is too huge for us to handle in a proper way. Can we respect our rules and then they will guide us at the exact amount when it is due, well audited, then we proceed. Right Honorable Speaker, I'll rise to support, but let us really be fair to ourselves and the country.
Thank you. Honorable Loeb.
Right Honorable Speaker, two things. One, we pressed and said government slept on the job. This was seen coming. The Attorney General stood up and said that government could not have come earlier. I disagree with that because today is 20th. Why are you coming on the 20th? Why are you not coming on 30th? Which law says you could not have come several months earlier? Because we knew that 31st March was coming. You didn't get to know about it last week. So it is wrong, Attorney General, for you to say government could not have come earlier. No. We should have begun to process all of these matters, especially because there are critical components. For example, the Auditor General, on behalf of government and on our behalf, because the Auditor General is part of Parliament, was meant to do a thorough audit so that informs us to know what is due to Umeme in exactness. But that has not happened. That's why we're saying we should have begun this whole process a lot earlier. Just hold on. You see, when you read the law, and Attorney General, I would like that we excogitate the law a little bit here. Section 36, subsection 5 of the Public Finance Management Act provides for how loans get to be processed by Parliament. The only exceptions are two, among others actually. One, government securities. The other is where government is managing a monetary policy question. The Minister of Finance deals with that without having to come here. But for such a loan, Parliament has got to approve in exactness. I want to be helped to understand. I have seen that commitment letter, which has been tabled here. Minister of Finance is saying that let's pass 190.9 million US dollars, assuming it is discovered that what is due to Umeme is 150 million US dollars. As an example, you'll only give them 150. I don't know what you'll do with the other. Does that then not mean that the Minister of Finance has taken over our responsibility as Parliament to approve? Because we are meant to approve loans in exact terms. What happens if it is more than 190? So you cannot say that Parliament passed 190, then I will discover, if it is less, I'll give them the less. Then you will be the one appropriating and not Parliament. And that's why we should have begun these processes earlier so that we know in exact terms which is which. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, I honestly, I'm hard pressed to believe the Minister of Finance here when he commits to us that you give me the 190. If I discover I'm meant to give them less, I'll only give them that part. Because, and examples have been given, this minister has promised us here are not fulfilled. I went to Day Biofarma with colleagues. Which government promised us here? You pass the money. We are going to make sure the MOU is in place, the share certificate is in place, and so on. You went and you gave them money before availing the MOU and the share certificate. When we went there, after they had already received the money, they said we are still working on the MOU. So you told us a lie here. You did not fulfill your commitment. When you said, give me the money, I'll hold on to it until we make sure the MOU is in place. They received the money before the MOU is in place. Why should you believe you now? When you say, give me the entire 190. If I discover what is due to Meme is less, I'll only give them that bit. We don't trust you anymore.
No, but we need to learn to trust ourselves. Okay, Rod?
Madam Speaker, I need to finish. Because I was being interrupted and I hadn't finished. So having established that the committee has not done a cost-benefit analysis, because everything been talked about, penalties, what is just speculation. Why? They have not told us the other side of the story.
It's not speculation because it is in the agreement.
Okay, let's say it's in the agreement. When they do cost-benefit analysis, they are supposed to give us the opportunity cost. If we don't pursue that line, what will be the cost to Uganda? If we ask the Attorney General to go and talk to Omeme, you give us maybe a month or two within which we will resolve, because amendment is provided for. And those are all issues I'd invited the Attorney General to respond to, including exploring why we cannot pursue the liquidity facility. Lastly, Madam Speaker, I want to move this House. I want to move a motion without notice that you reject this request until these matters are reconciled. And then the minister comes with something which is well packaged so that we do not look ugly as a house. I beg to, okay, you can amend, because I'm moving that we reject the request. If you want to amend it, so let this be disposed of so that we can move.
Honorable Kiror, that's not how they do with the reports. Reports are informative. Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to put it on record that I'm not standing up to second the motion of my colleague Guzuli. Right, Honorable Speaker, the issue at hand, which all of us agree that as of necessity, there's need for Meme buyout. As of necessity. I've been fortunate enough to listen that this has been a journey. We cannot castigate blame. It has now come to us as the members of parliament sitting in the 11th parliament today. Right, Honorable Speaker, a communication was made through the Minister of Finance. And the communication is through a letter that was written to the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament. There's work which is supposed to be done by the Auditor General, who can give, but there's a commitment that the sums to be paid out cannot be beyond what has been presented by the Auditor General. Honorable colleagues, I want to appeal to all of you. Sometimes it gets a bit so sticky. As a nation, if we moved beyond 30th, do we think that we can commit our citizens to beyond what we think is more than little compared to beyond the 30th? We have a duty. This parliament carries out checks and balances. The same Minister of Finance will get back to this House. And we are duty bound to watch over it. I want to appeal to all of us that if we can agree to pass this amount so that we are not caught off guard in the buyout, because these are contractual. As we talk, Umeme could be having a demobilization. So we're going to plunge the country into a crisis beyond the 30th. I want to appeal to all of us that we should be able to pass this, and whatever money submitted is beyond what is supposed to be, is something part of the loan which can be cancelled. I beg to submit that, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable. Okay, Faith? Faith?
Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker. I am here to support what Honourable Bosco Okiror has said. As members have submitted, and from the benefit of information that has come from historical members of this House, they recommended a buyout. And it was for the good of the country. A colleague here was saying that he nearly lost his parliamentary seat over the Umeme discussion many years ago. Right Honourable Speaker, the Auditor General has asked for time, and I would beg that we do not pressure the Auditor General. He gives the assurance to government. So in giving the assurance, we need to give him what he needs to be able to get the reliable evidence on which to get the value that Ugandans should be happy with. But Right Honourable Speaker, the committee was struggling between 127 million versus 190 million. To be honest, if I was in that committee, I would have proposed that we go by the lower value already, straight away, because of the spirit of prudence. It's common knowledge that you always go. But because they were afraid to go for the lower value, the Auditor General must do work. I am comforted with the letter that was written to you. Gladly, Right Honourable Speaker, you allowed that letter to be read in this House. So it's no longer a letter to you. It is a letter to Parliament, where the ministry is committing not to pay. I want to read the paragraph that gives me some comfort. The third paragraph says, once the loan is approved by Parliament, government will only pay out to Umeme the amount verified and approved or recommended by the Auditor General as the payment due to Umeme before the end of 31st March 2025. If the required, please listen to this statement. If the required payment is lower than the eventual amount verified and or recommended by the Auditor General, then the balance of the loan will be cancelled, and the cancelled portion will not form part of the government debt. Right Honourable Speaker, let me remind the House on the stakes, because it appears no one knows the stakes. We think we have the luxury.
Honourable Tebandeke, leave Honourable Faith to speak. When you are speaking, she did not echo you. When you are learning your law on the floor, she did not say anything. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Unfortunately, the stakes have not been adequately articulated here. What we are set to lose as a country. Of course, Right Honourable, you have rightfully said, some people slept on the job, and now we have this emergency. We have very few days on which to make a decision. There is interest that is going to accrue that the taxpayers of Uganda will pay on account of Parliament delaying a decision. Are we going to carry that burden that we will incur the 10%, the 20% for delaying to honor the agreement? We were not here when the agreement was signed. I am sure the people who sat in this House okayed it, and they okayed it for the country.
Thank you.
The stakes are many, including the blackouts in the whole country. You will come here, honorable members, to ask again for an action. And government will say, we brought the document to parliament and parliament delayed. In fact, if the executive did not bring this, I would be comfortable. But now that they have brought it, let's return the risk to the executive. The parliament cannot carry the burden on behalf of the executive.
Honorable Katuntu. Tinka, Sechi. Honorable Katuntu, Honorable Mutembule.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Colleagues, in circumstances like this, we need to listen to each other. I appreciate the anger. And any well-meaning Ugandan will appreciate the anger. But what is the cause of the anger? Let us diagnose where the problem is. All of us know, and I'm sure the landed Attorney General knows, that that concession was badly negotiated. It is basic. All these problems you are seeing is because of bad negotiation. And the reason can only be two: incompetence or bad manners, or both. Bad manners is also about collusion or corruption. But we are committed to an agreement. We are committed to an agreement. And once you get committed to an agreement, lawyers call it legal obligations. We have legal obligations. And we need to examine the obligation we have under that very unfair agreement. If we breach those obligations, what happens? That is the opportunity cost I think Oguzili was talking about. What is the consequences of us breaching the legal obligations of that agreement? Because the agreement is bad. Don't even bother yourself to... We have debated this, and indeed we debated it when the both committee brought their report. We debated this in detail. In detail. And between now and the last day, we have how many days? 9 days. Less than 10 days. Where we must sort out all this mess. Is it possible to sort out this mess in the 9 days? And two, it is not a wish, but we are talking about professional sorting out the mess. Whether it is possible for the Auditor General to bring a report here on the 28th. Did he ask up 28th? 28th, and we will have 2 days within which the Minister of Finance...
Honorable Katuntu, 28th will be a Saturday, a Friday. 29th will be a Saturday. 30th will be a Sunday.
So really, we have no time. And to me, and I really implore upon you, colleagues, let us look at the consequences of the decision we are about to make. To the people of Uganda, the people of Uganda got a road deal. Are we going to continue in that road deal? Are we going to continue wasting good money? It is not reasonable on our part. We must cut our losses, and now. We must cut our losses, and now. And let the minister tell us, actually the chairman of the committee, in figures, if we don't perform our obligation according to the contract by 30th, the first payment, what percentage do we talk about?
10%.
10%. And the 10% of the worst case scenario is $19 million. $19 million. We are not joking with small money. And we cannot be emotional when we are talking about serious public issues. 19 million. I'll take the information.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The penalties we will pay just to, yes, if we fail to pay by the 31st, it will be 10% for the first 30 to 45 days, 15% 46 to 90 days, and 20% after 91 days.
First of all,
information. You sit. You sit. Sit. You sit. You're a member of the committee. Yes, Haji.
So the first is 10%, and it is incremental. And the worst case scenario is $19 million. Why are we paying the $19 million? Because we are blaming people who have sat on their job. And because they have sat on their job, the taxpayer pays $19 million is close to 35 billion shillings. Colleagues, I think...
Honorable colleagues, please listen.
Actually, it's more than 35 billion. So to me, it comes almost 70 billion. Almost 70 billion. And that's the sort of money we are talking about. Colleagues, we now need to see what can we do seriously about people who didn't do their job or who did their job badly. That's what we should be looking at. As far as the contract is concerned, I thought our rules are very clear when somebody is speaking.
Yes.
I am a little bit informed, Honorable Otala, please. And I'm sure you know I'm informed. So, colleagues, the anger we should direct it to the correct people. And we can fold it up. We can really fold it up. Who did what? Who sat on what? And we can take any decision to have those people account. But as far as the contracts are concerned, let us not breach the contract deliberately, knowing the consequences. I thank you, Right Honorable.
Honorable Mutembule, there is a motion.
Thank you very much.
There is a motion.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I stand to move a motion that we support the initial motion raised on this table by the Right Honorable Minister of Finance.
By the Minister of Finance.
By the Minister of Finance, in order for us to back and support the loan, which to approve the loan, and we disregard the committee report which has been brought to this House. Thank you.
Is the motion seconded? Seconded by Faith, by Max, by Ogwang, by Okiror, by both, by Okumu, by Ayo, Dr. Mushemesa, Ibanda, Kilak.
Madam Speaker, there is no motion. He has just said we support.
He put a motion. That you didn't finish your motion. He finished the motion. You're only being biased. You repeat it.
The motion is that we support the initial motion put on the table by the Minister of Finance, and we disregard the committee report so that we process the loan and we pass it.
Seconded? Yes. And it is still seconded by both passes, Honorable Internal Affairs, Okumu, Alanyo, Ibanda, Apoloto, Ochwa, Shema, Lira, Apache, Max, Arua, Noah. Honorable members, Orone, Joan, Mariam, Kumi Municipality, Susan, Dr. Pear, Nekesa. Honorable members, there is also Nabila Tuk. Honorable members, I am still putting the question. Was there no motion? Attorney General, was there no motion?
I had a motion that they
Which
support
motion?
the motion by the minister to approve the loan and disregard the report. That's the motion I had.
Are you on a motion?
Yes.
Madam Speaker.
Lee, don't really. Lee? Yes.
I know that the motion. Okay. I move, Right Honourable Speaker, I move that the question be put on the motion by the minister in regards to the loan amount which has been brought to the House. A motion which is a motion to borrow up to euro equivalent of US dollars 190,988,566 from Stanbic Bank for the Umi Limited buyout. Thank you.
Seconded. The seconders will still be there. Orone, Maxi, Noah, Maureen, Peter, Namganza, Okumu, Ogwang. Honorable members, I put a question at the motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to euros equivalent of USD 190,998,556 from Stanbic Bank for the Umi Limited buyout be approved by this House with amendments. With the amendments, those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Next.
Item 7 on the order paper. Motion for a resolution of Parliament to support the deployment of the Uganda People's Defence Forces in the Republic of South Sudan under the Memorandum of Understanding on Defence Cooperation and Status of Forces Agreement executed between the Republic of Uganda and the Republic of South Sudan.
Honorable members, as you may be aware, our neighbors in the Republic of South Sudan are currently faced with some civil unrest for which our troops, the UPDF, have been invited to help with the stabilization of the situation. I want to invite the minister to move the motion.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I rise to move a motion for a resolution of Parliament to support the deployment of the Uganda People's Defence Forces in the Republic of South Sudan under the Memorandum of Understanding on Defence Cooperation and the Status of Forces Agreement executed between the Republic of Uganda and the Republic of South Sudan.
Say, Chinga, you're disturbing us.
Right Honourable Speaker, I move under Section 39 of the Uganda People's Defence Forces Act, Cap 330, and Rule 59(1)K of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, of this Parliament. Whereas Article 210D of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda mandates
motion and
Parliament to make laws regulating the Uganda People's Defence Forces including the deployment of troops outside Uganda. And whereas Section 39 of the Uganda People's Defense Forces Act provides that where troops are to be deployed outside Uganda under multilateral or bilateral arrangement with other countries, the minister shall enter into a status of forces agreement with the host country or organization. Noting that on the 10th of January 2014, the Republic of Uganda, in accordance with Section 39 of the Uganda People's Defense Forces Act, entered into a memorandum of understanding on defense cooperation and the status of forces agreement with the Republic of South Sudan relating to the deployment of the Uganda People's Defense Forces on the territory of South Sudan, aware that there is a security-related development in the Republic of South Sudan which is likely to result into serious negative security implications for Uganda and has potential to create a ripple effect on the economic, social, and political stability of Uganda, the region, and Africa at large. Further aware that on 10th of March 2025, in accordance with the Memorandum of Understanding on Defense Cooperation and Status of Forces Agreement, His Excellency Salva Kiir Mayardit, the President of the Republic of South Sudan, requested His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, for urgent military support in order to avert a potential security catastrophe in South Sudan, noting that following the request by His Excellency Salva Kiir Mayardit, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda has, in accordance with Article 98(1) of the Constitution and Section 39(1)(b), 38(1)(b), and 39 of the Uganda People's Defense Forces Act, deployed the Uganda People's Defense Forces in the Republic of South Sudan in order to avert a security catastrophe in the region. Appreciating that the deployment of the Uganda People's Defense Forces in South Sudan has previously enabled and will continue to enable the stabilization of security, peace, enforcement, protection of lives, and prevention of further escalation of conflict in the Republic of South Sudan, which is beneficial to Uganda, the region, and Africa at large. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Parliament of Uganda supports the deployment of the Uganda People's Defense Forces in the Republic of South Sudan under the Memorandum of Understanding on Defense Cooperation and the Status of Forces Agreement executed between the Republic of Uganda and the Republic of South Sudan. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I beg to move.
Seconded. Seconded. Seconded by Honorable Olanya Gilbert, by Gerald, by Emmanuel, by Nancy, by Lamwaka, by Amero, by Mariam, by Joan, by Wakas, Odero, Tusime, Okot, Kumi Municipality, Mbwa, Honorable Mbwa, Honorable Yusuf Butaleja, Busia, Acrobat, Ik, Honorable Kasolo. I always fear mentioning your name. Honorable Akamba, Honorable Mohoma, Honorable Tony, Honorable Kabong, Karenga,
Karenga.
Sechi, Honorable Sechi, Honorable Muze Kagabo, Honorable Ivanda, Honorable Esther, Nekesa, Alanyo, Okwalinga, Okumo, Wilson, Abim, Elders, the General, by the hollow side of this side. Can you second speak to your motion?
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members of this House, early March of this year, fighting started at the Ethiopian border of South Sudan in Nasiri. His Excellency Salva Kiir, the President of the Republic of South Sudan, made a formal request seeking for urgent support of our forces following that conflict. Consequently, His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, deployed, and the Commander-in-Chief deployed the Uganda People's Defense Forces for a peace enforcement mission. Right Honorable Speaker, the President's decision was based on the mandate given to him by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, and the Uganda People's Defense Forces Act, as quoted in the motion. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the President's decision to deploy UPDF, Uganda People's Defense Forces, to South Sudan was also based on Uganda's commitment to patriotism, nationalism, and Pan-Africanism. Uganda also has a long-standing role in safeguarding the lives and property of Ugandans and Africans at large through strategic military interventions in various countries across the continent of Africa. Right Honorable Speaker, the deployment of the UPDF in South Sudan was also done in a spirit of brotherhood, solidarity, security of Uganda, and the economy, as well as the shared historical and regional ties between Uganda and South Sudan. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members of this House, I therefore request this August House to support this motion for a resolution of Parliament to support the deployment of our troops in the Republic of South Sudan. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Oboth. First, second, you first wait.
Thank you.
Wilson, you'll second, don't worry. Let me first hear from the neighbor, because he's a neighbor to South Sudan.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, rightly you put it, my district borders South Sudan. And putting politics aside on this matter, Right Honorable Speaker, anyone who comes from the north, especially Acholi and West Nile, would highly support the deployment of the UPDF inside South Sudan. Right Honorable Speaker, I'd like to explore our colleagues from this side. The majority may not be knowing what is going on. Our brothers from South Sudan, they are quite merciless. It seems they are not all that professional in handling guns.
Honorable, Honorable, to avoid other issues, diplomatic issues, let's be fair in whatever we say for diplomacy.
Thank you.
And I want to request members that I will not allow a lot of debate on this matter for the sake of the safety of our members out there and for the sake of our relationship with that country. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the guidance. Right Honorable Speaker, I welcome your guidance, but for the sake of peace of the people of Uganda, especially those ones from northern Uganda, and those ones who are carried on businesses in South Sudan, let us support the deployment. The deployment is for the betterment of our country. Therefore, I explore our colleagues, let us highly support, and as a country, peace in South Sudan
will mean peace in our country as Uganda.
Thank you, thank you. Honorable members, I am very, very mindful of the issue of security, issue of diplomacy, issue of our relationship. I now want to put a question that the motion for a resolution of Parliament to support the deployment of the Uganda People Defense Forces in the Republic of South Sudan under the Memorandum of Understanding on Defense Cooperation and the status of forces agreement executed between the Republic of Uganda and the Republic of South Sudan be adopted by this House. Those in favor say the ayes have it. House adjourned, sundown.